This is episode 64, I think. I think it's 64.
64, that's
it's going to be the last episode.
That's the rip.
Agree or Die podcast.
That's the date on the
So
tombstone.
I brought everybody back. We got Hart.
What?
We got Malone. We got
Sorry,
Yury.
Malone.
Everybody came back
Hey, everyone.
to give a big send off and a thank you to all our fans. And
Hart made a really funny joke before we started.
I did.
Which is, why don't you make it again?
Well, the reason it's the last episode is we've all made a suicide pact with each other.
yeah, we will no longer be alive.
Going down with the ship.
We've spiked all our drinks that we have here, so we're on a timer. We have to keep this one relatively short because I think we'll start dropping before we can get it uploaded.
Just start dying.
Joke's on you, Hart. Only yours is spiked.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. So it's going to be a pretty regular podcast, other than it's the last one. But we have 4 guests, which is actually I think the first. Have we ever had 4 guests?
Not since I've been here.
I don't think so.
Yeah. So fun. There's been about 7 weeks since we've had a podcast.
Has it been that long?
It's been a long time. I just kind of stopped doing it for a while I was mulling over how to do a last episode.
Well, tell them the real reason. I mean, there's contract negotiations with Yury. He was holding out.
Yury kept
That's why he
wanting
hasn't
more
been
money.
appearing.
He, we've gotten over it, but I can't pay him what he wants.
All-star, baby.
He went Hollywood on you.
Yeah, he got.
Went to the big time.
He got.
Those lawyer negotiations.
Now, I will say that I looked at the my YouTube. I mean, I only make money on this podcast from YouTube views.
Mm-hmm.
I have made about $4
Total ever?
So
Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you to all of
you
you.
understand now why it's so hard for me to negotiate your contract
Yeah.
with that kind of money. Meanwhile, I spent $80 on this microphone and now these fucking lights.
What do you got, Brandy? You have Brandy?
And the money I spent on brandy, forget about
Brandy
it.
every week.
Can't even keep this thing afloat. It's a huge drain on my resources.
We would do a Patreon, but we're useless.
We almost did one, but I mean, we didn't have that many.
So what, it's just too much for you? You do a lot of work in this. I mean, it's the editing and everything. And, you got to jerk off in a cup every week.
Yeah, it just got too hard to get guests to come. It was just kind of like a drag to do it. It was more of a chore.
Is this like a fishing for getting comments where like, no, please do another one? I mean, that's the idea of this, right?
Tell me I'm pretty.
No,
Please, no, I can't live without your podcast.
And it'll be like on episode 65, like, well, we had just an outpouring.
We might get I would imagine we'll get 5 comments, people saying that's too bad, but we like the podcast, which is great. We really appreciate people who left good reviews and people who watched it every week.
Yeah, I was.
We appreciate you a ton, and I mean I'm still going to be making videos in other channels, but
There's different things in the works, but now we've grown beyond.
yeah, and you can still follow us on Twitter and stuff and talk to us, and I might still do rant videos. I will for sure.
Yeah,
You better do this.
I don't
You're not done making videos.
You just did one today, didn't you?
Right, it's just this podcast thing is there's a lot of work. So we're going to kind of sunset the podcast, so it's called. But it was a great ride and all that.
We're going to take it all back, so we're going to do load up the shotgun.
So let's talk about some current events, because I've been gone for 7 weeks. I ordered a PlayStation 4 yesterday for myself.
Oh, you say let's talk about current events.
What's
Your PlayStation?
I got it.
CNN's reporting.
I got it on eBay, and I've been keeping track. I went to Reddit PS4 deals, and I was looking for deals.
I'm on there all the time.
Yeah, they're there, but the problem is every bundle is bad. Like there's a Battlefield bundle or a Call of Duty. I don't give a shit. Maybe the games are good. I'm not saying they're bad games. I never care.
You like 3 games, so it's very hard to cater to your needs.
Yeah, maybe. You're right. Nowadays, you're totally right. But I'm thinking of what bundle I would like to see, and this is what really what happened to me. I was gonna buy. We ranted about this a while ago too, around Christmas. For Black Friday, I was gonna get an Xbox One. I was 100% positive that I was gonna get one. I budgeted for it. I had the money set aside, and Xbox somehow fucked that up and didn't get my money on Black Friday, even though I was 100% planned. They just had nothing for me. I was gonna buy one, and they had such a shitty offering. I just put my money off the table and said, I'm just retreat.
Here's my recommendation to people out there who are looking to get bundles. Don't buy a game bundle. Buy a controller bundle.
Mm-hmm.
Because controllers don't devalue. Mm-hmm. So if you get a good deal on a controller, you're still getting, throughout every console's life cycle, controllers have always been $50, $60. Whereas
$50,
games will drop down to below half price within a month of release.
You're right.
That's true. For people that have friends,
Interesting.
but in Krasny's case, he probably has to go with one of these game bundles. You just got to bite the bullet.
So anyway, So I was keeping my eyes on these bundles, and I'm like, okay. Then my friend at work, because the Battlefield bundle don't care about Call of Duty.
Yeah.
The Batman Arkham Asylum, good game probably, never cared.
Yep.
Whatever. Then there's a Lego bundle, don't care. And he's like, well, what bundle would you care about? And I'm like, good question.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, a Naruto bundle, obviously, but in Japan maybe. Then I'm looking at like all the games there are. I'm like, none of these games are any good.
Like Mass Effect.
That's not coming out till exactly. If there was a Mass Effect bundle, for sure I'd be on that. But yeah, Mass Effect and Naruto, those are the only two bundles I care about. I guess a Street Fighter bundle or a Mortal Kombat bundle, I would get.
Grand Theft Auto bundle.
I would get a Grand. Yeah, there's some games I would get a bundle for.
But
But generally, they're all I don't give a shit. So then I'm like, all these bundles like $380 for Drake's Awakening or whatever. What the fuck, Uncharted?
Yeah.
Drake's Prophecy. So finally, I just went on eBay. I'm like, fuck it, I just want to get a PlayStation. Can I just get one of those? And so I found one for like $270, and I got a controller right away. So
you're the perfect like modern video game grandpa.
yeah, because I don't know what this Call of whatever
Blockbuster games like
Drake's Prophecy.
pre-ordering them for 6 months. I don't want.
Yeah. But yeah, so I ordered beach volleyball a couple weeks ago from China because you can't get it in America. It's not
And
coming here.
Amazon lets you do that now.
I got it from Play Asia.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if Amazon.
And it will work on a U.S. console.
Yeah, PS4 consoles are not region locked, so any game will work on anything. But there's no English on
any
it.
region free Blu-ray as well.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, and I can watch Blu-ray videos now.
That's true.
If that ever comes.
With your
in
nice new
handy for me.
TV.
My new TV. And I got Naruto coming this week too, so I'm gonna get what I need. So basically, what's happening is I'm paying like $500 for Naruto and a little bit of beach volleyball.
How much you really?
I mean, that's how much it costs.
It was like $270, wasn't it?
Well, $270 plus a controller plus Naruto itself plus I got to get PSN.
Oh, you didn't get a controller with your?
Oh, I got one, but I need a second one.
Yeah.
$50 for the network for the.
Then the PSN, so it's going to cost me like with tax about $4 something.
Yeah.
So that's the only game I really care about. I just had to do it.
You'll love it, man. You'll be.
I will love it. I mean, I'm going to play Naruto the fuck out of it.
How confident are you you're going to love it?
Well, it's the exact same Naruto that I've had for the last 8
No, I
years,
mean the
so.
entire PS4 Switch. Do you think you're going to like it? Or do you think in like 6 months you're going to be hating it?
I don't think it'll take some getting used to get used to like the new stuff, but I don't really
I
imagine
feel
I'll
like
hate
you'll
it.
be okay.
Yeah.
Like I made a pretty quick adjustment.
You got to put your calluses. You got to adjust where they are.
The controllers are worse. The controllers are worse.
You know what?
You get used to it.
They're not. They might be worse in the sense like it's an A and an A minus. Like they're.
Yeah.
Once you're using it, I love them. I mean, the old PS3 controllers were shit. They were like tiny little baby fucking sticks.
Baby fucking sticks.
For little babies with tiny dicks.
Was it the same as the PS2?
I think so. Yeah, I don't know.
And PS3 is different.
It's a little. I mean, it's still called a
Four.
DualShock, but it's
Yeah.
it's a bigger, a little bit different shape.
It feels in your hand the same way like a 360.
I was at Walmart a couple days ago. Every time I go to Walmart, I always like touch both, and I'm like, God, the Xbox ones are just so nice.
They are really nice.
I'll get used to it. What's interesting is the D-pad is in line with the buttons, so it's more like a Super Nintendo controller would be. So for my emulation gaming, that would actually be kind of pleasant.
The little touchpad in the middle.
What's that for?
Well, for one, it's actually 2 buttons. So the start, like it can be a start and select.
Okay.
So it's touch the right side,
Sure.
left side. But then also some games like use it, so you have to like swipe to open something. It's like like touch controls, but very mild and like not too intrusive.
So it's 2 buttons and a touchpad.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like you're an Apple user. Isn't that been the mouse pad for? I mean, that's It's basically every laptop.
I mean, I never had a touchpad on my controller ever, so I don't know what it would even be for.
It's like somebody took a laptop touchpad and put it in there.
Yeah, I mean, I get the 2 buttons. I just don't know when a game would use it. I guess we just have a touch stuff. That'd be kind of add a little tactile piece, like lift up something.
Yeah, like when you open a chest, you swipe it up.
That's cool. Okay.
Are the button names on? Oh no, there's shapes for PS4.
That is the
right?
thing that kind of fucks me up a little bit
Triangle,
for a while.
square.
Press X.
Is,
The stupidest
is X
fucking
and
thing.
circle in the same spot as Xbox's X and circle?
No.
Xbox doesn't have a circle.
X is where
yeah.
A was.
Xbox is circle.
Here's the stupidest fucking shit. So they're color coded.
Yeah.
To some extent. X is blue. The triangle is up, the up one, and it's
red or pink.
No, green. But then the circle and the square are red and like pink,
Oh yeah.
and they're like kind of similar shades, and they're not obviously different shapes, but like when you see them pop up on like a QuickTime thing in a game, or like you need to touch them,
Color would be nice.
like a very distinct color or like a very different shape. Like it's so fucking confusing sometimes.
Fill in the circle maybe.
Yeah, fill in the circle.
Oh, yeah, if they're filled in, that'd be kind of nice.
Yeah,
actually.
that'd be at least easy, but
that'd be nice if they're filled in.
it's a stupid problem, but Yeah.
Well, I'll let you know what I think about it.
And for you with
In
all
an
the
upcoming rant video.
the share features, you can stream to YouTube. To
Fucking
Twitch.
PS4 sucks.
I made a big mistake.
I can't return it because I got it on eBay.
I can't wait to get mine and take a picture of it and then tweet at Xbox and say,
Fuck you.
I've been a fucking Xbox for since 2001, and
Yeah.
now I've moved because you guys fucked it up that bad.
So let's get into some current events. How was your day, Krasny?
Real current events. Oh, I got great news. Me and Emily played tennis today.
You did?
Yeah, buddy. We went and we played tennis and had a great time, and I fucking knew it would be a great time.
Oh, boy.
And now...
What is this thing?
Oh, well...
This is from Valentine's Day.
So for Valentine's Day, I gave Emily a...
Oh, yeah, I heard about this. Yeah, I watched it.
Yeah, I gave her a tennis racket,
That's
and
right.
she just hated it.
It's the worst present.
Well,
I don't
now,
even play tennis.
now we went to play tennis, and she's not hating it anymore. So there you go.
I don't think it's a bad gift. I think it's a bad Valentine's Day gift.
The real gift was us going on the night to the casino.
Why even bother with the tennis racket?
Because she said she appreciates the casino trip, but she needs to open something to feel like her Valentine's is complete.
Sure.
So I came up with what I thought was a very thoughtful gift. And that was a miss.
Emily had the rant. She came on the
That was a miss.
podcast just to rant for 15 minutes and then dipped.
And a
That's
miss. Oh, it's
It
so
was a
good.
miss. Fuck.
Baby. Yeah,
So, yeah.
These are not
That's what happens when you use
Yeah,
game
these
pieces instead of real coasters.
Comment if this is a coaster or not.
They don't know what the fuck that
no
is.
way it's a coaster.
They don't know what that is.
Keep sticking to your little
Like it,
cardstock.
this
Keep
is a
sticking to the...
If you think this is a coaster like, if you think it isn't, unsubscribe. All right. Who else has current events to speak up about?
Like
Anything good? Anything interesting that you want to talk about? You don't have to. Then we'll just go to topics.
I'll talk about everything in picks. I got a lot of. It's been so long. I've been doing everything.
You got a lot of backed up picks.
Oh man, I've been doing it all.
Okay. Well, so I was thinking for this episode, we kind of go back through some of our most controversial topics. Either not so much that we were controversial, but maybe in the comments, like they ended up being controversial, and just review them.
Like a greatest hits.
It's like a greatest hits compilation. I'm not sure. I didn't review them all and look for them, but there's some on the top of my head that I knew of.
Like a clip show. That's
Only
what
hits
this
where
is.
you piss everyone off.
Yeah. So I have some of those. So we should start one of those. Should we talk about it?
Sure.
So one of the first ones we had where we agreed on it. It was you and me. It was about school lunch programs and how we think
That's the first one. I thought.
we think that junk food and like bad stuff shouldn't be available in school lunches at all. Like we have an a la carte, and we had an a la carte in high school. You remember? And you can get donuts and curly fries and so yeah, you pay for it. And then there's the school lunches, of course, and pop machines in the schools for Topia and Surge and shit. And I was just saying, why would those even be in school? They should just remove those from school and only serve kids food that's good all the time.
I've sort of backed off the pop machine thought.
You think they should be in there now?
Yeah, I'm fine with those, but I stick by the lunch one.
Why do you judge those differently?
Because they're not replacing meals generally the way like shitty food and with a la carte would be. So kids can still go get a good meal at lunch, and then during school they can go get a soda if they want. Like, I don't know. I don't want to get rid of. It's still it's like a treat versus having the option to just eat shitty and eat nothing healthy. Because if you give kids the option to have a shitty lunch, they're probably gonna have a shitty lunch. But if you give them the option to have a good lunch and then a soda, it's less. I don't know.
Why do I want to have soda? Why do you want to get them hooked on soda at all?
I mean, I don't know if I'm getting them hooked with school.
Well, it's not even like I want them not to have soda, but it's like you're letting Coca-Cola, who's a company that's in it for profits, obviously they're in it for the kids' health, and they're putting a pop machine into a school with a bunch of kids who don't make good decisions.
I guess I just don't find that one as offensive.
So it's you're letting like
I'm trying to compromise.
yeah. I
I'll
mean,
give you an update.
what do you got?
I was at your alma mater across the street, Egan High School,
Oh, okay.
to vote for Bernie a few months ago in the primary.
Uh-huh.
And I just thought, on the way up to my little classroom that I have to go to make my vote, I thought I'd stop at this pop machine and just grab Mountain Dew for myself. So I look and put the money in, and I start to scan. It's a Pepsi machine. Good. They have Mountain Dew. Scan up and down. There's a lot of diet flavors.
Okay.
There was no regular pop.
It was all Diet Pop.
It was all Diet Pop
Wow.
or like water or like Goofball. There was no Mountain Dew. There was no
Weird.
regular Pepsi. It was
All diet?
all diet.
That's interesting.
Diet or like fruit. What are the
Yeah.
alternate? There was like.
I mean, that's just corporate like fucking masturbatory bullshit where they're like,
oh, we'll only stock it with diets.
yeah, exactly. They only stock it with diet, so it's good for the kids,
I was
but
real-
it's
I
not
was
any
real
fucking
bummed out.
it's not any fucking better for the
They
kids.
should start with brandy.
Well, I wouldn't say that either.
But so people hated this.
Yeah, so this was a huge. Well, it wasn't like people hated it. It was like the libertarians that were on there.
Do they still come on and listen? Like,
No,
can-
they've all been
slowly
you-
made
they've
it
all
out.
been
you
destroyed.
finally, no. Well, when they thought you fully agreed with everything they thought, they were all on board.
Yeah,
But
they
then
were my
when it
best
became-
friends when I was when I was with them. But as soon as they said anything wrong, then I was completely. But it's like here's the thing with the thinking is okay. You got to maximize freedom, right? They hate any rules. That's their whole idea. So it's like okay, well, you can't limit what kids can choose to do and not to do. It's like okay, well, why don't you just put cigarette machines in the fucking schools
Because
and
you're not really limiting anything. So the
yeah,
kids
they
don't
can do
want
it
that.
out of school. But it's like if we're in a controlled environment, then the least we can do is force the kids to live the best possible life. You know, like not eat shit, not drink sugar, not get all fucked up on that stuff.
My thing is like you can still bring lunches for one.
Sure,
Yeah,
yeah,
but
we
then
can
like
bring it in.
the school has a responsibility there, right? And the responsibility,
Yeah.
like just like they have a responsibility to educate the kids, and they teach a health class where they're like, eat healthy, do these healthy things.
mhm.
You know, lead by example to some extent, and be like, here is what you should be eating. Here's setting good habits. Here's setting good examples of what you should be eating, and like how to look forward, and know what to do going forward. But when you just like provide all this shit for them, it's like, well, fuck, like that's what they're gonna
Yeah,
eat.
and it's part of the education. Like
Yeah.
like this, what the school puts into its premises is part of the the education they get. If the school has in there, oh, root beer's totally fine to drink whenever you want, just put 50 cents in the machine. That's part of what they learn. Like, oh, it's fine in school, so it must be fine everywhere.
Right.
I mean,
Is that what you learned? Did you learn that it's fine everywhere because it was in school?
I learned that drinking soda was a totally normal part of life, and I shouldn't really think about it.
I had to break bad habits from high school once I got in college.
Exactly.
See, I feel like I was on board of pop like way before that. Like, little kids love pop. Like, they always want pop.
Yeah, well then, I mean,
Like,
school
usually
should
they always
teach them.
want pop. I'm
School
just-
should teach them.
but you
not-
see
saying that
you're-
they're not teaching it. I mean, like, I agree with you. I think that they shouldn't have less junk food in school. It seems like a good idea, but I don't think that having pop machines is like teaching them that like it's fine to have pop. I mean, I don't know, I feel like kids already want pop. They already want cookies.
Yeah.
They do
No
want
pop. They
it.
want
Yeah,
candy.
they
all
do
the
want
time,
that.
like-
Exactly. They
But
want it all.
They're
So-
unsupervised, and usually, parents aren't like their 8-year-old. They might give them like those, like a half a can or something. Like parents usually limit kids' pop intake at a young age,
Like,
and even into age 12, 13, 14, parents might still. You can only have one of these or something like that.
and
But
maybe
when they're at school, they can go, "Hey man, give me $1,"
Mhm.
and they put it in the machine, and they all of a sudden they can freely get a pop if they can score the.
it's different
Correct.
now, but for us it was just like it's probably somewhat similar. You just get money, like your parents just give you money on an account, and then you use that account to check out. And so it's like here, I could use that money for whatever. There's no control there from my parents, and the a la carte option was there, and so I would use it.
Get double curly fries today. That's all
Just
I'm
get
eating.
smuggled in.
Double fist them.
Cam used to do this. They'd buy a 24-pack of Mountain Dew like often and sell it for like less than the vending machine
Yeah.
sold.
And we're not
Yeah.
saying you
Out of
can't
their
bring
locker.
your
Well,
own
sure. I
soda.
mean, he would be breaking the rules of the school,
Yeah.
but that's fine for kids to do that. They can bring it in. Obviously, just bring it in
Yeah.
in your backpack.
But it's what's endorsed.
But I think the school it's an endorsement. The school's saying this is fine,
Yeah.
and I think the school shouldn't say this is fine. The school should say it's bad to drink pop. You should drink good things instead. And so the new information I got based on this, I watched a documentary called Fed Up. It's on Netflix. You can watch it. I think it's a pretty poor documentary, but they did a lot of stuff about like kind of government corruption and corporate corruption in the food education system. And it would talk a lot about that whole thing where they made pizza sauce into a vegetable, so pizza could be counted as a vegetable.
Yeah.
Like they talked about that a lot, like why that happened. That happened because somebody put pressure on schools to increase health. Michelle Obama did it. It was her. Her pressure.
Yeah.
She pressured the schools to increase the amount of fruits and vegetables in school lunches and reduce the amount of carbs and I think just carbs.
Sugar.
So they had to readjust their menus. So they proposed this menu readjustment, which reduced the amount of pizza and other junk foods. Schwann's, our local Minnesota company, they provide like tons of the pizza that goes into school lunches. Like they're responsible for a ton of it.
Did not know they were local.
And they had a serious problem with pizza being reduced. So they sent their lobbyists in to go, what can we do to now reduce the amount of pizza? So they figured out this great gimmick where they're going to make pizza sauce a tomato, and therefore if something contains pizza sauce, it could be a vegetable. So, and when they're counting servings, like 4 vegetable servings, now pizza can be a vegetable serving instead of a carb serving.
Mm-hmm.
And they like did that trick, and that went through. And like that's part of the school system now, where pizza's a vegetable.
Instead of, not in addition to.
Yeah, instead of 4 vegetables, they can have 3 vegetables and a pizza,
Because
and then still have like a burger, and that counts as a whole meal. You know, like it's completely it's all corruption. You
But
know?
you remember those pizzas though? They were pretty good.
Were they?
Yeah, I
The
mean,
rectangle pizza.
Oh,
I'm not saying
no,
they were
we had-
bad. Sure.
Which ones did you?
We had better ones. We had circle ones in high school.
Did you?
Maybe that was the a la carte pizza, though. That was
The best pizza that I ever had in school.
The two
was
versions, the
in middle
regular
school,
lunch
I think
one,
there were.
and the
Yeah, I
a la
think
carte.
in middle school, we had these trapezoid-shaped pizzas that had the little cube pepperoni,
Oh, yeah.
and that was the fucking best.
Yeah.
Ugh, I hated that.
Yeah,
so
that was the
I don't
best.
remember. I remember popcorn chicken baby. Really bomb.
Yeah. Well, anyway, the point of it is like what even they serve in school lunches, and the whole. Oh, and also he said it was Reagan who he cut school budgets a lot.
The president?
Yeah, Reagan. He cut school. Why are you laughing at me? Am I saying his name wrong?
Reagan?
Reagan.
Reagan.
Ronald Reagan.
Okay, you said it right that time.
It sounded right to me every time,
All right,
personally.
my bad. My bad, guys.
He cut school budgets. So before he did that, schools would cook their own food, and they would like have chefs in there, or chef like people that would prepare the meals.
Yeah.
He cut the budget, so they couldn't do that anymore. They couldn't hire a person in charge. They couldn't get the produce properly, whatever.
Okay.
So then the corporation stepped in, like Schwann's, and said, "We'll give you lunches
Right.
for pennies on the dollar."
Sure.
And that was, like they come in and they just give you these pre-packed meals that are Schwann sponsored.
Right.
And then that's where we're at now, and that's who's in charge of the food in school. And
You simply heat these items up. Basically,
yeah, they give you at a
Put 'em in
big
the
discount,
fryer,
but then
put
it
'em in-
addicts the kids to that food, and they're used to this, pizza, whatever it might be. And then they get the lobbyists in line saying, "Well, we need to make sure pizza can be on the menu no matter what happens," and it's all bullshit. So add that to the fucking pile.
I've never really thought about this too much, but like, is there a more kind of, and maybe I don't know much about it, but is there a more like insane career and just job than a lobbyist? Like, it's basically the only time you ever talk about lobbyists they are convincing someone to do something, and it's usually like a negative story. I feel like it's a lobbyist lobbies for this company to protect this interest.
They're just like advertisers.
There's lobbyists for everything, though. There's
Yeah.
lobbyists.
Exactly.
There's lobbyists for all sorts of organizations that you probably wouldn't find shady
all the
at all.
nonprofits.
But just like anywhere else, I feel like lobbyists who win are usually lobbyists who are from companies that have the most money.
Yeah, I think anytime a lobbyist wins, it's always like he paid the most money to get his agenda pushed forward,
Yeah.
and that nobody likes that.
And
You're just making that up,
I'm
or-
not very educated.
Am I making up that that's when lobbyists hit the news? I've never heard a story of a lobbyist doing anything but pushing an agenda.
I think you
Their
know
money
someone
went
who
with-
is a lobbyist, and I remember him talking about it a little bit. But it just seems like, anytime it is, it's like, oh, there was going to be this good thing to happen,
Mhm.
but a lobbyist came in and said, well, hold on, what about this company, or what about this interest of whatever? We got to protect Coca-Cola, and then that's the story. The story is like something good is going to happen, gets altered or changed at the last minute negatively to protect the interest of
Or all
blank
the unsung
company.
heroes, all the unsung hero lobbyists who are fighting for the good.
Yeah,
There's a
but
lot of
they're
them.
but they're the
Where
ones.
are their stories?
They don't get in the paper because they do their job correctly. I think I'm with Malone where I think what it is you're an elected official. Every possible different subject is coming across your desk or to get voted on. Land use rights, mining, traffic budgets, law, some new corporate law, some new implementation of an internet safety bill. And so basically you're not just a jack of all trades. You're not just an overwhelming genius, right? You need people to help you that are experts on each of these little topics. So that's what lobbyists do. They're basically the liaison for whatever they're representing. So they come in and give you the poster board breakdown of it.
And a bag of money too.
I know
They might do that.
I know
don't
TV is
But-
obviously not the best source for like information.
Yeah.
But I feel like anytime you see something like this go down, and I'm sure to some extent this is accurate, but it's like a politician who's trying to get a bill written or passed or some sort of legislation, and what they're trying to do is not offend a particular entity or lobbyist or group, and so they end up having to compromise everything, which ends up diluting the vision of whatever the bill is or the purpose, their agenda, to this point where you're not actually affecting any change. So when we talk about government not doing anything or taking action, I feel like this is one of the big reasons why, is because everyone is trying to not offend anyone.
That is what TV teaches us.
It is. So I wish any of us knew dick about shit, but
So what do you think? I mean, say if you're Schwann's, in that case, the example of having pizza supplement as a vegetable and the carbs don't count, that obviously seems bad for health and bad for everyone other than Schwann's.
You know what it is?
However, my question is, ought Schwann's be able to hire someone to go and bug politicians and try to get their agenda in? I mean,
I think that
I
would say no.
Yeah.
I would say they should not be allowed to do that.
who should anyone be allowed to?
No.
So no one should be able to. What if you're the CEO of Schwann's? Then can you go call up the senator and say like, hey, we really want this bill?
There should be it's a huge conflict of interest.
Your company.
So
your,
who can the politician talk to? Who are they allowed to talk to then?
they can contact anyone they want.
They can pick who they talk to.
So they're supposed to call up Schwann and say, hey, I'm thinking about this bill. Like, what the fuck do they know?
Look,
Their job is to
or they have
gather all this stuff and put it all
or they
together.
have interns. That's the whole point of the staff.
They
have them do the research.
They do the research.
But
from
the company and the product should speak for itself. You don't need someone to call you. Like I don't call up a car salesman and say, convince me to buy this car. I do my research. I might ask them some questions, but like I'm the one making the decision ultimately, and it should be me. Like the onus of the research and the information should fall on me, not to be like I don't want to find out I'm buying a car and have people calling at my house and be like, I'm going to convince you to buy this car or else.
Well, it's bullshit though. Like,
I think we're missing the
Mr.
point.
Mr. Schwann's isn't fucking giving him good advice. Like if the subject on the table is what is a good school lunch for kids, you're not going to call the CEO of a fucking junk food manufacturer and ask him. You're going to get a nutritionist or a fucking healthcare professional or somebody who's not invested in selling more pizza to kids.
But
ask them what
what happened was the lobbyists for the health food industry or the healthy eating or whatever. Maybe they just lost. Maybe they couldn't deliver a good.
Here's what the lobbyist does. He calls and
We're
goes,
convincing.
"Hey, you know how
You act like only Schwann's has the lobbyist.
You know how Schwann's
not somebody trying to make a bill that says we need to have people.
You know how Schwann's contributed this blank amount of money to your account last year or to your campaign last year? Yeah, we're not going to do that next time.
Right. That's what's going on.
You think the fucking grassroots organization is going to call and be like, that $500 we donated?
Yeah.
Not this time.
I just think that's so highly elite. I feel like you could just.
No,
it's not illegal.
It sounds like you tried to bribe me.
You know why? Because money is no longer considered speech by the Supreme Court and by the law. So where
it is considered.
Explicitly, if you're explicit
it is
about
considered
you're exchanging
speech.
money
It is
for
considered
votes.
speech, but the corporations are no longer considered entities who are affected by that.
Well,
So
too
they
bad we
can
never
donate.
had.
They can donate as much as they want.
I remember this happened.
Yeah.
I remember this. Where corporations can donate money as
And
humans.
Malone, you're right. That was my bad. Money is speech, but corporations are no longer entities for the purpose of being limited in that extent. So they can donate as much as they want. They're unlimited like other citizens.
They can't directly donate to a candidate though.
They can have super PACs though. Those super PACs.
The super PACs still cannot donate directly to the candidate. They can use political. They can spend. That's what that case was. Citizens United. It was the group made the movie about Hillary Clinton, and since this other they called it political, and they said the case was about whether or not this other entity exceeded the limit for political spending, and the court ruled that there's no limit for political spending, but the limit still stands for an individual candidate contributions. Not to say that
there was a case since that after
Okay.
Citizens United.
I don't know. I think companies should be able to have lobbyists, and I think it's much better for anyone to be able to talk to any politician and try to convince them of whatever, to be totally honest. Because the other side to that is saying, no, I mean, what are you not allowed to go call the governor? Like, what if I own my own business?
Can I call the governor now?
In theory, you can. You can call your senator. You can call them up and talk to them.
Yeah,
I'm
but
saying, like...
Yeah, I mean, that's a CEO of Schwann's who has
Okay, sure,
money.
fine. Let's say you work for the biggest animal rights organization ever. Should you be allowed to call and get a meeting with legislators or not?
I should be able to. Sure.
Should you be able to hire someone to call and try to convince legislators to make meat illegal or something? I mean, do you agree? I mean, you agree with that cause, but do you agree with that lobbyists should be able to go and try to bug politicians to get them to do what they want? I think yes.
That's a good point.
Well, the word bug is not, like bugging someone is not the same as what goes down as far as contributions go and like supporting candidates.
I guess I would say, I think the difference in my mind is, one, there is something in place and that somebody's being convinced otherwise, And the other one, the example you give, someone is asking for legislation or proposing, please do this, please take this action. I guess one is an activist move and one is a reactionist move. And I feel like the reactionist move is the one I have a problem with.
Well, what I have a problem with is how it's so clearly in the best interest of Schwann's to pass a certain agenda. Like for me to pass an agenda where to promote veganism, that is like a moral issue, not like I don't stand to gain a bunch of money or power by pushing that agenda. Whereas Schwann's, by pushing the agenda that we need to get more pizza in schools, that's a very clear cut. And in this example that we're talking about, what took place is obviously subverting the system. Like something wrong obviously happened to make it so pizza's a vegetable. Like it's clear to anybody. It's not like there's nothing good that happened in this whole transaction. And I mean it's totally based on money. Like there's nobody who's going, I think it's a really good idea to do. And that really happened. This is reality. Like the pizza vegetable thing it's a joke, but it really happened. There's something corrupt happening in that situation.
Yeah.
And that probably happens more often than we know of. Certainly, right? This pizza thing is like a hilarious joke, but there's other things that are probably less obvious that take place all the time like that, where lobbyists are like, we'll just get this done. And House of Cards taught me a lot about government too.
Yeah.
Everything I know about reality I learned from TV.
All right, what's the other one? The other one
So
is
what's the answer?
the
School lunch.
I'm still absolutely
Well,
against school doing anything bad in there.
It's McCutcheon v. Federal Election Commission is the case I was thinking about. On February 19, 2013, the Supreme Court announced to adhere to this case, challenging the limit on how much individuals can donate directly to political parties and federal candidates.
Mm-hmm.
On April 2nd, 2014, the court ruled that aggregate limits on campaign contributions were unconstitutional under the First Amendment. So they can donate in aggregate as much as they want. There's a limit to at a time contributions, but they can. There's no limit anymore on the amount they donate.
So for a corporation or for an individual?
It might be both, but I think that the difference is that corporations are obviously going to be able to donate more than any individual generally.
But you're saying Apple could donate $1 billion to Hillary Clinton, for instance, or is that not what I don't know? I need to see some numbers to understand what that means exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's true though. I think there's still. I'm not sure what an aggregate limit means.
I should really know this. I took a class on it.
Come on, Yury, read up, man.
That was years ago.
So here's the other big topic: is sterilize all kids.
Oh God!
This is my favorite.
This was where I feel like the podcast took a turn from
The tyrannical
light reading to like
to the final solution.
yeah. Like I remember we were just light chatty comments.
Hey guys, let's run for president of Germany. That sounds like a cool idea. Okay, but when we do it, what should we do first?
Is there any
Sterilize all babies.
I guess maybe you should say what this was.
Yeah. So what this idea? I feel people didn't listen to the first 10 episodes. My idea to solve a lot of America's problems is
mostly it was poverty.
Poverty.
Solve a lot of them. Come on, give me a
It would solve. Well,
I'm
I'm going to tell you what it is. It is at birth, all babies are sterilized with some kind of a magic drug that I made up. It's fantasy.
Marvel will come up with it.
Let me
Tony
just
Stark.
say real quick. Weirdly, a lot of problems people had with this was like the technical aspect of it.
Yeah, and I couldn't say more clearly. It's a fantasy drug.
It is a thought.
It's not possible. It's not scientifically.
It is a thought.
What if there's a side effect? I'm like, there's no side effects. It's one of the premises.
It's a thought question.
So
let's move past that if you don't.
Yeah. So you inject all kids with this serum, and they're sterile. Mm-hmm. And there is an antidote that completely absolves it, makes you normal, and it's available. I had it, like $4 at a local pharmacy. So you can go to any pharmacy and buy over the counter. It's like a pill. You take it, and it just cures you, and you're normal.
Okay, but I'm employed by Hobby Lobby, so is it covered under my plan?
Didn't you eventually decide it had to be free?
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
What if you're not? What if
Do I have a religious exemption to this?
If you aren't married to a woman, there's no way they're gonna let you get that.
Here, in this thought problem, it's free and you just get it. End of story.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, yes, exactly. So, or when the baby's born, the parents get the antidote they get one dose of it for free, and they say keep this in a safe place.
What if you lose it?
Then they get another fucking dose.
It's like your Social Security.
The point
card.
is,
you're going to get six
the point is, you can't accidentally get pregnant. And if you get raped or whatever, you're not going to get pregnant. You're not going to get pregnant in high school or in college until you're ready. Then you take the pill, and then you can get the reverse pill, and then you can get pregnant.
Amazing.
I'm
even less
if
scared of rape now.
And
now
even
that
if, I mean, it's not anything to do with what I'm saying. And then even if, like, one person wants to secretly get pregnant, like poke a hole in the condom kind of situation, it wouldn't work because the other party also has to take the pill to get their sterility
these are nuclear launch codes, basically. You both have to...
Will you stop with your fucking...
I'm breaking it down for people.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
I'm throwing you off your
You
game.
both people have to turn the key. You can't just have one person turn the key.
Yeah, that's right. You both have to agree to do it.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So one person can't, sneak. Like the girl, like, in the daytime movies, the girl will stop taking the pill and get pregnant on purpose to trap her boyfriend. So Adam's disgusted with this idea.
So what problems did you think it was going to solve?
Well, you were on the
It solves unexpected pregnancy.
This one, yeah.
Which is
all of them.
Which is apparently the root cause of most of America's problems.
It's a big cause of poverty.
Costs the economy.
It's a big cause of poverty.
$2 billion.
It costs the economy a lot of money. Yeah, I don't know how much.
I mean, I think you're not wrong about that.
A problem that can be solved by this, in my mind, very harmless procedure. It's a problem that can be solved, and this is an easy way to solve it. And I think the technology to do this is not that far off.
Well, so I know that on matters, the more important the issue and the more potential for government abuse, the more in favor of it you are generally. As in, you hate the government fixing are you're totally for them reading everyone's emails and understanding where they are at all times.
We've all decided Kress is not a libertarian.
Right, so I'm wondering, are we allowed to talk about the potential for abuse or misuse of this by I'm assuming the government entity that controls this antidote? Should that factor into this discussion?
What if there's a psychopath working at the government lab that's
so
making stuff?
Who controls like vaccinations right now? Is that a government thing?
So here's
so you go to Walgreens and they give you a flu shot.
Pharmaceutical companies provide the vaccine.
Sure, but it's controlled by the government, right? Who pays for it?
Your insurance plan.
Yeah, I don't think it's a government thing. I mean,
some of those flu shots when it's like, hey, come into Walgreens and get it. I think you pay like $10 or something. It's probably subsidized by the government.
This is just like these other things we argue about a lot, where you trust the government always with these very big things. I mean, the potential for one, I'd find it just disgusting on principle, but also the potential for misuse seems so grand. If someone could stop the
let's break this down, I think, because that might help. So I think there's a couple issues here. One is the moral sort of philosophical issue of sterilizing people and then kind of
against their will.
Yeah, right, or at least
Well, we cut babies' dicks against their will already, and that's totally legit.
I'm just saying that's one side of this.
Okay.
The other is the more technical side of how is it implemented, how is it done right, how do you prevent abuse of it, will it be effective, the more numbers side of it. So I think we take one at a time. I guess might be easier. Sounds like you're starting with the technical side, the abuse of it possibly.
It's not right. Yeah, that's one big part of it. But more than that, I think that it's sterilizing people infants against their will is just more.
So here's my okay. When you say one as an infant, you're not having a baby anytime in the next 13 years anyway, right? And if under Krasny's thought problem, you can take this pill to not be sterilized anymore. By the time you're ready to have kids or able to get pregnant.
Yeah, I mean, the abuse needs to happen before this whole thing is against, the will is, it's a completely reversible procedure that does no harm. It's a protective measure. Because a child can get pregnant against his will by not thinking about wearing a condom and having sex, and all of a sudden now he's pregnant, except for that's a serious problem.
What if the economy tanks, we have a budget shortfall, and they want to start charging a $5 fee for the reversal?
Well, that's later. This conversation.
That's the thing the government likes to do.
That's phase 2.
That's the technical side.
Yeah, that's the technical side. But here's the plan. The option B is there's no antidote. It just automatically dissolves itself at a certain age.
I mean,
kind of like puberty already does, where you're not fertile and then you.
Kind of, except for that's obviously way too soon.
You want to extend puberty to some age.
That would be. So this procedure makes puberty happen. I mean, I don't want to fuck with just the reproductive part of it. You still want to grow and get hair and shit.
So I think the interesting question is who gets to decide when you're ready. Is it the parent up to a certain age, or is it the kid as soon as the body is able to have,
You mean
children?
in the case of automatic dispersal or
No,
the
no.
pill?
So the pill.
The
So
pill.
let's say
Well-
right now, if a 15 or a 16-year-old wants to have a kid and they decided at that age they want to do this, they're going to run away from their parents or whatever, become their own guardian. I think that's the thing you can do, right? You can emancipate from your parents.
Mm-hmm.
They want to have a kid. Is that allowed, or do their parents get the final say at that age, right?
Yeah, in my example, it's over the counter, so anybody can go and buy it, like Tylenol, from the store and take it. So any kid can buy it.
So, I mean, in that situation, I don't think you're losing any rights or civil liberties, because as soon as you're old enough, and the only difference is now you can decide and make an active choice versus before. The problem with kids is you're not always thinking of the consequences, or you're not always fully aware, or you're just uneducated.
Exactly.
So you can have sex, think you're fine, and end up having a kid.
Mm-hmm.
But in the alternative, if you want to have a kid, go do it. Go take the pill. Now you can have a child. You've made the decision. If anything, in some ways, it gives you, I think, more freedom, because you're making the choice now versus having something exist upon you, I guess. Having just it happen naturally or by accident.
Yeah.
Now it is a choice.
Yeah. It's something your body does that you can't control, which gives you the control to that.
I think morally and ethically, I don't really see where the problem is. I think technically there are a lot of problems.
Yeah, I mean, there is room for abuse. Although I just don't think it's I'm not afraid of it. That abuse I don't think it's going to happen.
It's the wrong abuse could end the entire human race.
Yeah, well, so could the wrong abuse of launching nukes.
Okay, so
you're saying this would be worse. This would be worse than nukes. Humans could build a bunker and hide or something like this. If no one could get the,
all you got to do is
no one could have a kid.
I mean, that if
this is even worse. This is a
factory for the antidote.
How would no one
respond?
This is a species destroying.
All you need to do is stop injecting the babies with the serum.
Okay, hold on.
What babies if nobody's having them because they're...
Well, I mean, what's going to happen? Like, there's going to be like a line where the government decides we're not going to give the antidote to anybody anymore.
If some dictator gets a hold
then
of the whole
some
world.
people need to go to the bunker and then fuck in there, and then
they're sterile. They're already sterile.
Oh, no, they got to get the antidote real quick.
Hold on.
It sounds like a good movie.
Yeah, exactly. Like, let's repel in.
Your example of nukes is spot on, because this is no different. If it's this important, they're not going to be just fucking one warehouse sitting somewhere with all the pills.
Yeah.
Right? It's going to be, and if it is that important, and there really is one fucking warehouse, it's going to be protected just like nukes, okay? And if you're comfortable with nukes sitting around and nukes existing...
I'm not.
Well,
it's one guy has the button. One guy literally can launch it.
Yeah.
One human being can decide.
That hasn't happened yet.
Well, in this case,
but I still think it's dangerous.
It'd be thousands of companies and thousands of entities.
There'll be antidotes. So you can go ahead and buy like 10 antidotes and have it in your fucking drawer.
Nobody's getting rid of the vaccine for polio.
This sounds like billions and billions of dollars when we can just invest some of that money into better sex education.
That doesn't
works.
work.
Works pretty well.
That doesn't work.
How well
it doesn't work, because when they take it out of the school in the Christian areas, when they don't want to teach sex ed, then teen pregnancy goes through the roof.
Okay, well, kids, people still make mistakes, even who have had sex education. There were kids in my school who got
it's
pregnant.
part of being human. You got to have responsibility every once in a while.
Well, humans are, but kids aren't. They don't get responsibility yet because they're too stupid. We know that, right?
I'm 100% against this, just as much as I was before.
I'd like to say Emily is for this.
Emily's for it.
She's for it because she works with these teens that are fucked up, and she works with kids who have alcohol syndrome and are abused constantly.
The only argument I've heard against it is, what if something went wrong?
Yeah, exactly. That's
Which is
argument.
I get it.
It's not absurd to think about.
Well, let's not do anything. I mean, let's not invent new guns. Let's not invent space flight. I mean, all those things have room for abuse. We should just stop right here and never let the government abuse anything.
So, okay, we should build a new rocket that goes into space.
Well, there's room for abuse.
Is the same as sterilizing all humans.
There's room for abuse.
World?
What if they go from space and start fucking watching everybody and dropping bombs on everybody? I mean, the abuse potential is insane.
For one rocket.
For anything that happens. That's the whole. You just want to stop technology progressing because there's room for abuse.
No, I want to stop the mandatory sterilization of all infants. That's what I want to stop.
Well, are you concerned about morally, or are you concerned about it technically?
Both. I'm 100% against it on both grounds.
Why morally?
Because reproducing is a fundamental human right.
And you still have that right.
No, you don't. You're sterilized.
No, because as soon as you want to stop being sterile, you go stop being sterile.
You have to go. But you have to go somewhere. What if you're remote? What if you don't have transportation? What if you have to money for the bus?
If you can't get now,
you
to
can't
any,
afford
What if you see a hot
bus,
girl at the bar right now tonight, and you want to go home with her? And what if the place is? What,
You wanna have a baby?
are the pills open 24 hours that you can go get one of these pills?
Sure, they're-
because you want to have a baby with that girl you saw at the bar.
you
You
know.
can't get her pregnant until she has the pill as well. So
So you both have to stop on the way home to.
So
Sure, just like you'd have to stop and pick up condoms.
Wow, you have 152 IQ too, man. We need to do something about this right now.
Just like you can stop and pick up condoms right now, you can stop at the drugstore, the 24-hour corner
There we go.
lot, and get the pill.
it's just like that.
No.
Oh, what a future!
I just don't. Nobody's given me a single reason why this is morally wrong. I get the
Just
technical.
because there aren't any. There aren't any.
Because he's putting a barrier between the ability to procreate.
Okay, well, you're putting a lot of barriers.
Yeah,
between things
putting a
now.
barrier between something you can do isn't immoral.
Creating. Okay, a restriction is not the same as removing a fundamental right. You can restrict a fundamental right. You just can't eliminate it completely. And we do that all the time now. Just like the First Amendment is a fundamental right to speech. You can't go into a movie theater and shout fire, right? That is a crime. Unless there's actually a fire, obviously, guys. Come on. But you can do things as long as the right isn't removed. And the right to reproduction, which, by the way, is not a fundamental human right, at least not explicitly said in the Constitution, it's still there. You can still go get the pill. It's slightly restricted, just like a million other things.
Wait a minute. Wait.
What?
What is it? What's the? You have the all men are created equal and have what is it? Life? What is it?
Life,
the
liberty,
pursuit of
and the
life.
pursuit of happiness.
So what is it?
Life, liberty, and the pursuit
Life,
of
liberty. I
happiness.
feel like life that the Supreme Court argued that life is what
Okay, well,
covered.
they
as far
don't.
as-
They call it. They say
Yeah.
it's in the penumbras of the Constitution.
It's a good point that it's not the ability, the right to have a child is not in our laws.
It's fundamental in that you're born with it.
Yeah.
Right? It's fundamental in that way. But it's dangerous. It's more dangerous than a lot of things. I mean, this is one of my main arguments is like kids can't drive a car till they're 16 because it's dangerous.
And
But kids can have pregnancies because you can't stop them.
I think a kid having a baby is less dangerous than a kid driving a car. To be totally honest.
I think you're wrong.
Okay.
We
Are you,
disagree.
are you feeling in danger of infants or kids having infants?
I don't know.
I mean,
I think Malone's right on that. I mean,
danger as far as,
is the
like-
right word. Maybe harmful.
It's
Yeah,
the
it's
effect
harmful to
of-
society. The harm to society that's done by underage pregnancy is worse.
Underage pregnancy basically is like a ticket to poverty.
But that's not fair to. That's not totally fair to say either because it also has potential for excellence, right? I mean, there are kids born accidentally who go on to amazing things.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about independent choice and independent will, I think it gives more of it. But when saying it's a natural right, like we restrict so many things, guns. Whether you think it's okay to have guns and have guns as prolific as they are, we do so much restriction on guns, so many restrictions. You got to wait a certain amount of days. You got to have certain credentials. You've got to be this old, etc., etc., etc. We do way more of that with that, and that's the Second fucking Amendment.
How is this unlike criminalizing having a child at the wrong age?
Because there's no penalty.
Because here's the thing: what's wrong with 50? What would stop 15-year-olds from going and just unsterilizing themselves at the same age? That
Nothing. Just like nothing stops.
Nothing stops them now from fucking having kids.
So what would really be?
Because they have babies on accident
It can't
now.
be an accident in this case.
It can't be an accident.
Well, okay.
Because
First
if
off,
you're
if
just
you're a high
having
school
sex,
kid and
you
you're having
can't
sex
sound
with your
pregnant.
girlfriend and you don't want to go get we're hot now. Let's just do it. We'll probably not get pregnant.
Yeah.
Boom, you got pregnant. Or even like if you're in poverty, you can't afford condoms or the pill, but you want to have sex anyway. You'll just have a baby now, and you're already in poverty. Now you have an impoverished baby.
You mean the birth control pill?
The birth control pill,
Yeah.
not my pill. My pill is free until you get the antidote, and that's $4.
Again, technically, there's a lot of problems here, but
Yeah, I mean, it could be
philosophically,
Which is fine. The antidote, $4. That's about
Here's my
It's about
question.
64 podcasts if you put them on YouTube.
I can afford one. I can afford one.
Here's my question.
Chris, you've been waiting this whole time to get unsterilized.
Yeah.
So okay, this entire program of yours, which has the magical pill that sterilizes everyone, that every single human is given.
Just Americans.
Also, okay, just Americans. Also, there's the whole infrastructure and the creation of the antidote and everything that goes into this.
Mhm.
All the economic costs. Do you think those will be less money than your giant waste, which
Yes.
is
I
pre-pregnancy?
mean, obviously, yes.
Okay, right. Obviously, what do you mean obviously yes?
I mean,
How's
if
this
I
obvious?
didn't,
How's this obvious?
it's obvious to me because if I didn't think that, then I wouldn't have put the stuff in the first place.
I mean, I
Okay.
still.
This is solving a problem, which is tremendous cost of unexpected pregnancies and the harm
I mean,
that
I
brings.
think that's legitimate to say that. I guess I'm kind of that stuff's not interesting to me. You know what I mean? Like, because I don't know if it'll ever be possible. I don't know. We might never have the fucking technology to do this ever.
Yeah.
So the idea of like, will it actually, will it cost more than the cost on society of welfare? I mean, that'd be one way to look at it, right? How much do we put into public programs for adoption agencies, for all those kind of things? We can add all that up and then compare it to the cost of manufacturing the pill, giving the pill out, and the sterilization programs. But we don't know those numbers. You know, we don't.
We just put this in. Jesus Christ, man! I feel like I'm in.
I mean, you want to be technical.
That's what we call it. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but I mean,
Look,
doesn't bother you to just say that as it's discussing the program of mass sterilization.
well,
There's nothing
because
just
You
that
can undo it. Please report to
rubs you the wrong way about
20G.
this. Like, I mean,
You're upset by the semantics of it and not the concept.
no, I'm completely upset by the concept of it.
Why?
I don't care what we call
Tell
it.
me what-
I think it's disgusting. I think it's
That's-
disgusting to
that's
suggest
not-
that
that's not
sterilize
the
all
reason.
infants.
That's
Saying
not a
it's
reason.
disgusting isn't like.
Nobody care about animals, man. You're disgusted by the fact that I
Yeah, but
ate
you
a
can't
cow for
reincarnate
lunch
it.
Because
today.
you're murdering a cow to
Reincarnate
eat
the
that. That's not even close to the same thing.
You can't reincarnate the animal.
I'm not
You'll
killing anything by this action. I'm giving
No
choice
way.
to people.
No way.
No way. What do you mean no way?
Everything
It
is
disgusts
reversible.
me. It disgusts me.
Well, I agree that it disgusts you. I'm not saying you can't be disgusted. That's fine. But that isn't a reason. Like, I'm disgusted by you eating meat. But, like, that my disgust isn't the reason I want you to stop. I have a lot of reasons I want you to stop. It's not my offense. I mean, the reason is you're disgusted. That's not good enough. Like, the solutions it provides are X. And, that's all I'm saying. Like, imagine from the perspective of a 16-year-old girl who has sex for the first time and gets pregnant, or the second time, whatever it might be. And now her life's all fucked up.
I think there are so many technical reasons this probably is a bad idea, will never work, and all the possibilities of abuse, and all the issues of things could go wrong, et cetera, et cetera. Definite problems. Probably the reason it'll never happen. But as far as the moral issues, I don't even see them beginning. I don't even.
Well, you're pro-choice, right?
Yeah.
You're pro-choice.
Mhm.
So, like, a girl can get pregnant and get an abortion, and that's
Right.
that's fine. That's no big deal.
Because she has the ability to get pregnant.
Well, just like now, if she wants to get pregnant, she goes.
Yeah,
and
it's
takes
like
the pill. And
if a girl gets pregnant, doesn't want a baby now, she can have the baby removed, and that is much more expensive and more difficult. Or my solution, where she just won't get pregnant until she's ready, but that's disgusting. Is that true? Is that the correct?
The antidote part of it isn't the bad part. It's the story.
But that's the
That's
point.
right.
Is
But I mean,
there's
it's a package.
There's no harm in the initial act if it's completely reversible.
It's a package.
Now, when you say, I get if you're saying that, well, what if something goes wrong and the pill doesn't work on somebody? Yes, that would be a real problem, and in that situation, if that's even a possibility, I'm against it, right? But if in this thought problem where there is a 100% effective ratio and you have unlimited access to whenever you want it, then I can't imagine how it could be a problem.
So here's the thing. Here's where I'll jump to your side, and it's only because you say, if in this instance, if nothing can possibly go wrong,
Well, that's
then
exactly
sure.
that's exactly
I mean,
what we're saying.
I mean, but you could do that for like anything where it's like nothing could possibly go wrong.
Yes,
Like,
that's why it's a thought
if I
problem.
could give you supervision and nothing could
Okay,
possibly
get to your point. Get to your
of course I'm
point.
gonna
Get to
take
your point.
Well, that's my point. Is that it's basically.
So you're on our side if nothing can go wrong.
I'm on your side if it's flawless.
Yes.
But I think Malone is still.
Well,
struggling.
Malone's not on our side because he's
Well,
disgusted by the
Malone's,
idea.
Malone's in the
Parts.
real world. And Malone,
He's not in the real world.
No,
He's
I'm not
disgusted by
even
the
in the real
idea.
world. No, I'm in fantasy
Part.
world with
I
my
just think-
objection.
Sorry, this is
well, but I think that's a cop out to say
No.
nothing can
No,
possibly
Hart,
go
this
wrong.
is why at the very beginning I split this into
I
two
know,
like
but that's-
things.
But that makes it just boring because I don't think that.
Why?
I don't think.
I-
No, it's not boring because Adam still disagrees.
I don't know
Yeah.
what he's disagreeing.
I mean, if you agree with the fundamentals of preventing unexpected pregnancy, period, then you're on our side. That's what we're trying to solve.
Adam is saying that the removal of the possibility, even temporarily, is more harmful to the human condition than the potential for accidents and the potential for
Crack babies.
Whatever.
let me try
babies.
to spin it for Malone and see what happens.
Do it.
What if you could remove the possibility that you could get cancer at your birth? If we just said we're going to inject you with something that makes it so you can never get cancer, that's forcing it on you. And cancer is something that biologically can happen normally in a human being, just like pregnancy.
But why would you ever want cancer?
I'm saying what you're doing is basically saying, because what Malone is saying is that it's biologically a fundamental thing that you're able to get pregnant at a certain age.
And it's against their will.
And he says taking that ability away from what a normal human process is kind of objectionable. Like, what would you say for something that is like a negative biological?
Well, I'd be for the cancer one, and I guess I already am, because it's natural to get all these diseases we get vaccinated for, and I guess I'm fine with babies getting injected with that.
So what's the difference?
So I guess that's what I'm trying to. And I might not know, but maybe.
I mean, I guess I just think that reproduction is a good. What I believe is
reproduction is net good.
I believe.
So
Malone, I'm not even sure if I would
Malone
say that. I'm just saying I think it's a fundamental right that you should be able to have as a individual human being.
Okay. Alternatively, then Malone,
that shouldn't be taken.
What if you got the ability to get pregnant way earlier? Is that a better thing then now? Because now your right, your claim as a right, has been granted to children earlier. Now the thought of children having sex is fucked up. But if you want to, let's say you want to give a 10-year-old now, you give them a 4-year jump on puberty,
so
5-year jump.
Would I be for like increase or
because
reducing the age of puberty?
If this right is pretty much. If this right is so
good question. No, I would not be for that one.
So why not there?
Wouldn't you want more rights earlier? Then
if this is such a right, exactly.
Good question, but I'd say definitely not.
Well,
actually, I've also puberty is coming sooner for girls. I've heard
it comes sooner and sooner all the time.
That's what she said.
Can somebody elaborate on that? That's.
I know nothing about it. I just heard it from someone.
Girls get puberty at a younger age.
The hormones in the middle.
It's a younger age than guys, but you're saying it's earlier.
No, it's getting earlier
every generation.
Something like that. Yeah.
I want to know more about that. That's weird.
I don't know.
It's because of our. It's apparently because of our diet. Because it's supposed to be because of we give hormones to.
How long?
Yeah, because we give growth hormones. We give growth hormones to animals, and then it's in their
transfers
DNA.
Apparently.
Yeah,
and then there's like birth control and pee that comes out and gives extra. No, that's serious. Like it comes through the sewers and then it stays.
A lot of weird shit.
Like if the right is reproduction.
I'd like to give Hart kudos for making a good analogy.
That was a great. I'm
the worst analogy.
Yeah, you really. That was awesome.
Now here, Hart, I want to take yours a little bit. Let's say
because I wasn't even thinking along.
It makes
that
you
line,
immune to cancer, but fucks up your vision, just slightly.
How bad?
Like I don't know vision numbers, but like is 10/20 like what's you wear glasses?
These are readers.
Oh,
well, maybe you have to wear reading glasses.
Yeah, it just slightly fucks up your vision, so you just can't have 20/20.
If you read too long, your eyes get blurry. That's what happens.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't fuck it up permanently. Like whatever the Air Force's limit is, like you have to get at least this to get to the Air Force. Okay. You can't ever get to the Air Force,
but you might get cancer.
But you will never get cancer, and you have to inject that at birth.
Wow.
So you got to make that choice. Either my kid will never have cancer, or his vision is slightly worse.
I'm against that.
I think these sort of questions will actually move from the hypothetical to the real.
Gattaca, baby,
specifically
Gattaca.
This sterilization one, I think it's possible, and I think it will happen.
Yo, guys,
sterilization.
This thing you're saying, I think that this exact idea will happen at some point.
How tight is Gattaca though?
The movie? It's been a while since I've seen that.
That movie's tight.
So then one of my other, this is on the same thing as in mind as an affordable antidote.
If you like these kind of questions, you
Gattaca.
should read. Not watch Gattaca. Read Chuck Klosterman has a lot of great fun hypotheticals that make you think about stuff.
What do you want? What?
Let's take a little break.
It's not break time yet.
Is it break time? Have we been going for?
No way, we haven't been going for like 45 minutes.
Well, what time is it?
9:36.
Are you even recording?
No, fuck
what
no.
are we in? I thought we did 20-minute breaks before. We're on.
No, we started at like 8:30. Well,
that's an hour.
I guess it is break time. All right, we'll take a break.
You started?
I didn't know when we started.
You didn't inject.
Well, no, it wasn't. We started at 8:30. Waited for Fuckface to get here for like 40 minutes. Then we fucked around upstairs for a while. Anyway, let me finish this up.
All right.
The final piece of it is instead of an affordable antidote, this is like a real thought experiment, which I don't agree with. But like, what if only very rich people can get the antidote, and the poor just get straight up bred out, and they just can't give birth?
I love how you think that's a genetic. Poverty is genetic. That's what.
I don't think it's genetic, but if everybody's sterilized and only the antidote costs $1,000 a pill, then the poor couldn't ever get it.
That's too bad. So then you have rich douche bros fucking.
I mean, this happened. This happened in the United States of America.
What do you mean?
People were sterilized like against their will in the South.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Or just the mentally.
You mean like Oh yeah. You mean like chemically they gave them that.
Yeah.
Who? They still do that. They give chemical castration.
To who?
I know. The last story I heard was an African American lady who was sterilized in somewhere in the South, like in
chemical castration,
the 50s or 60s or something like that. There was all these lawsuits. I don't know more details.
I don't know if this
happened by like the governments of some states. Did
what?
This.
I don't know if this is still going on. But chemical castration is, I believe, a punishment for certain sex offenders.
I think
in America?
I don't know if it's a punishment, but it's been requested by certain sex offenders.
It's a form of treatment, possibly.
Wait, I'm confused still.
I think it basically
I know what it does. I mean, like in the South, this happens. What do you mean?
It happened. I'm not sure I'm not sure the circumstances or why or what the reason was. But I know
believe-
that the government sterilized people.
Like many people or like some
think
people?
From what I heard, from
Like
what I understand,
cities of people? Well,
No,
I mean,
no,
like
no,
they cropped.
no,
Like,
no.
what is this?
Like people that were like wards of the state, like the people would be in a mental institution, they were forcibly sterilized for a while,
Oh.
for a period. I don't know if this was the 30s, 40s, 50s.
Well, okay. I mean, that's weird.
just to know, yeah, because they thought that mental illness could, or at least like mental retardation, could be passed on through genetics. So they would sterilize mentally ill patients in hospitals to prevent them from passing on the disease.
Right. Yeah.
Now, I just want to know, chemical castration is not actually sterilization. It just removes the sex drive completely, basically, through chemicals and drugs to keep you from wanting to even
Think
have
about
sex.
it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what Alan Turing, like one of the
yeah,
founders
that's right.
of computing. He was cracked codes for the British and Allies in World War II, like a decorated. I mean, he wasn't a military, but he was decorated war hero.
Didn't you see that mediocre movie?
I didn't see the movie, but he was homosexual. He got convicted in court. This in like the '60s, and was had the choice between prison and chemical castration.
The movie was very mediocre.
Yeah.
The Imitation Game.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it was. But my boy Benedict Cumberbatch, he crushed it.
So, well, okay, I talked to some people about this idea of like, what if the poor just couldn't give birth anymore at all, and what would happen is like in 3 generations there were just the poor people couldn't reproduce, so you'd only have rich people left. And kind of the consensus I got from most people is there would be enough population in America to make it work anymore.
Have you seen Idiocracy?
Yeah, once.
Do you remember the plot?
A guy from the past goes into the future, and they're all weird.
Yeah, I mean that's not really
Oh, that's the worst
The
recollection of
the whole-
the best. That's the best one sentence summary.
that is the plot. That's not the important part of it.
It's the perfect synopsis.
It's not
of
the
movie.
message.
The whole idea of the movie, the core thesis, is that poor people who are generally less intellectual or intelligent, whatever you want to say, have more children for one reason or another.
Which is currently a truth.
Well, it's because there's more poor people than rich people. It makes perfect sense.
So
what
intelligent genes, and whereas smart, intelligent people who are educated and responsible, they think very carefully about having a kid, and they might have one child, and then they stop because it's not fiscally responsible. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
They have planned pregnancies for them.
And so the movie is, well, okay, eventually these poor, people who are not very intelligent will have all the kids, and
they outbreed them,
and they will outnumber the rest, and they will. The whole world will be stupider as a result.
Mm-hmm.
More stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's.
But then the reverse of that, though, is only the rich people get to have kids, and the poor can't.
I guess kind of what Malone was saying earlier, but like it's not that being rich doesn't make you smart, and
no,
and even having access to education won't necessarily make you intelligent. So
a lot of lobbyists get paid a lot of money. You want them being the ones that have the.
Well, I mean, they people who are rich they can support themselves. That's the point. Like there's not a cost to society if everybody can support themselves.
Maybe you should stop seeing it as the rich and like the people that are like financially stable, because that would incorporate a lot more people.
I feel like you're more interested in like you.
I mean, the antidote costs $1,000, so whatever you want.
You're more interested in like let's say that. A study is done that shows it costs $30,000 a year, or whatever. Let's say $20,000 a year to have a child.
Okay.
All right. To have and raise a child per year. In order to get access to the antidote, you would have to go in and prove to X entity that you are able to put $20,000 into this child a year, whether through feeding, clothes, whatever. And $20,000 is a large number. That's probably way over. But
sure.
That would be acceptable to you, because then they wouldn't be a burden on society, and that child could be raised.
Well, yeah, it would. Yeah, I mean, I don't support this myself, but it's an experiment. It's just like, how do we solve the poor problem? How about they just can't reproduce?
I'm against that. I don't think it would solve the problem.
What if you lost your job last year? Like, what if you were out of work for a while?
Yeah,
What if unemployment was? What if it was 2007 and unemployment was?
You're right.
8%?
Then I could not have a baby. Then
they'd be like, you guys got to hold on.
But what do you do with your
even though
current kid? There will still be poor people.
Well, yeah, but then you couldn't make any more. So
Well,
the population would.
you're presuming that,
I mean,
that
China.
intelligence and poverty is all genetic.
No, not intelligence. Just wealth. This is just straight wealth conversation.
Um,
Poor people can't afford to support themselves.
China did do something like this.
Yeah, I know they did.
Yeah.
They exactly did, and I don't know what the results were.
So are
but
you going from an argument where if the parents can't provide a good childhood for the baby won't develop well and therefore won't be a good human? Is that what
I
you're
think.
no,
I think
this
what
is
you're
straight
saying-
up like if
Because I feel
parents-
like you'd be better off if you went that angle.
I think what
and
you're-
kinda
what-
say,
what he's
if
saying
you're
is that
unprepared to fund, if you
if-
can't take care of your own self money-wise,
So
you can't afford a
current-
baby.
that is what I'm saying.
Currently,
Okay.
there's a government program in Minnesota called MFIP. It's like Minnesota Families Investment Program. And if you have a child, you are eligible, and you're unable to care for that child, you're eligible for MFIP. And MFIP is public assistance. They give you a cash grant every month based on your need to support the child and your family.
Okay.
You're saying that program could essentially be eradicated. All those government funds could be saved because no longer could you have a child if you were going to need MFIP with it.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that would
That's
save
what I'm
save the government and taxpayers millions, billions of dollars, whatever.
Yeah.
Because that would no longer be a need. That's
right.
what you're saying.
Well, yeah, and I'm saying that the people who are in poverty, they can't get out of it, and having more babies just breeds babies in poverty, and then
So let me ask you this: what other potential? You guys are probably better for this. What other potential issues, problems, variables create that situation, create the poverty, and create the strain in society, other than just having kids, just being more
lack of
kids?
education, lack of opportunity,
Lack of jobs.
lack of
Race.
Yeah, I mean institutional
Race, yeah.
racism, institutional
all
bias.
those things.
Would those things not be a better first?
Well, I think that's what I brought up the first
Yeah, I
time.
mean, yeah.
That was one thing I brought up the first time you brought that to light, was that I said that it was wealth right now there is a racial issue within earnings.
Yeah.
People getting jobs and things like that. So that would to start, it would be biased against.
And don't forget gender. Let's bust that glass
It'd be
ceiling.
it'd be great. Well, you need
Bust
two. You need two to tango. I don't know how that works, but yeah, you would get you're really. It's kind of like, it reminds me a little bit of the problem they're having in the maybe the weed industry, as you call it, now that we've legalized weed in a couple of states. Is there's a lot of business owners that have no criminal record that are benefiting from the weed laws, when the people that maybe have been dealing the weed, the minorities that were living in poverty and maybe dealing weed on the street before, they can't get access to that millions of dollar industry that's growing now because they have a criminal record because they were involved in the industry before it was legalized. There's things like that people talk about. So now it's like, oh great, well I got a business degree from Watford, and now I'm going to go start a weed company, and I'm a white guy.
Yeah, you're right.
People talk about, well, how about the guys that actually been in the business for a while? Oh, well, they have a criminal record because
They're arrested for
they
weed
got arrested for
trafficking.
possession and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, but wouldn't they be qualified as far as their resume goes to know a little thing, a thing or two about the business of distributing weed? I mean, it's things like that can pop up. And if you're going to talk about poverty, it's just I worry that might tidal wave certain minorities into being even worse off for longer down the road.
What do you think? Take a break before Malone
Jeez,
throws up in his mouth.
everyone wants to take a break here.
All right, Malone, why don't you just start us off on this next topic here? Because
Do I just talk?
Do I speak? How do I do this podcast?
just go.
All right, so there's a lot of social media these days, and lots of avenues to express your opinion. I know Alex has been on forums and everything, and he argues all the time online. I want to talk about more argument in the general sense. I don't want to actually argue about something. I want to talk about argument in general. I don't
What are
really
you guys
have...
both doing on your phones right now?
I'm looking up something related to Malone's conversation.
What's your fucking excuse?
So, like I said, there's lots of argument. I feel like many arguments are kind of like wrong. There's a few examples I want to give from previous things that we've talked about on the podcast. These are kind of just like one-off examples, and I'm hoping you guys can help me out here on these in some way. Here's one. We talked about this a long time ago about
Please all be Krasny.
about like the debate about torture, like government-sponsored torture of supposed enemies or terrorists or however you want to say. Where what I heard is an argument against torture is not a moral one, but they say torture is not effective. Say, look, it's not effective. It doesn't. People will say whatever you want. Like you can't actually get information about it. And that one rubs me the wrong way because what if they came up with some torture in the future that is effective? Then does that change your argument? Does that mean, well, if this one's effective, let's do it, you know? Like, does that hinging your argument on this, I feel like people who would make that would still be against torture even if it was effective.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, that's one. The other one that I think is kind of interesting to think about is talking about like the benefit of, say, like diversity in the workplace or in something like this. People say studies show that diversity helps this and helps that, and everyone gets what. Like, what if the study said it wasn't? What if the study said, proved in some kind of way that there's some kind of a result that you would think is morally wrong, but the data or whatever your study proved it was the other way? Would that change your mind about? I feel like there's other of these things that I can't quite think of, but this is
they missed the point.
What
kinda? I mean, but it's easier to make that argument that something's not effective than it is to make that something is morally wrong.
I mean, specifically what you're talking about are logical fallacies. And that's what I'm looking up right now. It really is.
Is that a logical?
It's not a logical fallacy.
Hold
If the thing is that the conclusion's wrong. Like if you say tortures shouldn't be done because it's not effective, that's logical.
Hold on. A logical fallacy is using a strategy or misunderstanding the crux of what's being done.
Right.
So what Malone is talking about is actually a logical fallacy. It's called a straw man argument. And the idea of a straw man argument is where imagine a ball, and the ball is really the issue, right? And that's what you, as the debater, want to discuss. And that is what you're trying to figure out, and that's what's the important thing here. But then your opponent debater builds up what's called a straw man, which is an alternative argument related, but also different than what you're really trying to get at. And they knock that down. So they build up a straw man and knock it down. So Malone's case, he's saying with torture, well, the interesting thing is it moral and is it right? But they're saying, well, it's not effective, so don't worry about it. That's a straw man. They've built up this alternative proposition, knocked it down, and saying we've won the argument.
Maybe.
But it's not really getting to the heart of it.
I think that's not right, though.
Which part of it?
I don't think that's... Well...
Are you saying that I don't know what a straw man argument is?
Kind of, I guess. I think that's not accurate.
I also kind of feel like that's not quite a straw man.
I don't think it's a straw man, yeah.
Maybe.
Well,
It's
why
only a straw
don't
man.
I read the definition and then we can decide.
Okay.
The fallacy of setting up a phony, weak, or ridiculous parody of an opponent's argument and then proceeding to knock it down. E.g., vegetarians say animals have feelings like you and me. Ever seen a cow laugh at Shakespeare comedy? Vegetarianism is nonsense.
That's a good point.
Or pro-choicers
Yeah.
hate babies, or pro-lifers hate women.
Well, yeah, but this isn't like that.
These ones aren't ridiculous.
They're not intentional.
These are
These are real
I
arguments.
think they're real compelling arguments to not torture. That is a good.
Missing the
Right.
point is actually a fallacy.
Probably is.
Yeah, because in this, I deal with this when I'm talking about veganism. And this is cows are very bad for the environment. Mm-hmm. But like if they found a way to harvest cows that wasn't bad for the environment, it would still not be okay to eat cows, right? That's my argument. Like they would say, well, like I've run into people who say, yeah, the way that agriculture is really bad for the environment, like really makes me want to go vegan. I'm like, that's not a good reason to go vegan because then if it turned out that pigs are good for the environment, then it's fine to exploit them, and that's wrong. So like that it's like a part of it that's incorrect.
But to me that's like fuel emissions are bad out of your car, right? They're harmful for the environment overall.
Yeah.
But if you're like, I'm not going to drive a car because gas prices are too high, that's a legitimate reason not to drive a vehicle, even though the real driving vehicle you'd say it was because it pollutes. I mean,
Well, it depends on your reason. Like if Donald Trump would say, okay, Trump, because he's for torture.
But it could
Right.
change, and all of a sudden it could be affordable to drive a car, but yet it's still bad for it's still overall.
I'm not getting what you're saying. I'm not following you right now. I'm not being funny.
Well, no, but okay. So go back to Malone. Go back to Malone's. What was your idea? What was your
Torture
The torture
isn't
one.
effective.
The torture.
Therefore, we shouldn't do it.
But I'm saying that because it's not effective is a valid reason to
Yeah,
argue
exactly.
against.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, you're right.
Even though there's still a moral underlying, you can have more than one
Yeah, but that's what I say. Trump. So Trump is for torture morally.
Right.
He's saying if we need to get the information
Right.
we need, we should torture all the people we want and their families too. That's Trump's position. Now, if you go to Trump and go, Trump, look, it's not effective. That's a valid argument for what his premise is. And his premise is it is effective, and we should do it to get information. Right. But up to most of the time when torture is discussed, it's because it's immoral. It's something we shouldn't do because it's wrong. And then someone says, oh, and it's also not effective. It's like, well, that's irrelevant whether it's effective or not.
I disagree.
It's irrelevant to the argument of whether
I think it's an additional argument.
The argument is it moral to torture or not? If that's the argument, then the effectiveness has nothing to do with it. It's not more or less moral if it's effective or ineffective. That is like, it's not a straw man, but it's not part of the argument. It's missing the point.
So driving a gas-powered vehicle is always immoral just because it pollutes? Or like if we just went from that, then it wouldn't matter what the gas price was?
Okay, is it immoral to drive a vehicle that pollutes?
Boy.
If the answer is yes,
Yeah.
then the discussion about gas price would be totally irrelevant. Because if prices went way down, it would still be immoral to pollute with your car. Right? You get me? Are you with me?
I'm following. I'm caught up.
Are you?
Yep.
Okay.
So
I'm not sure what the fallacy is called, but I think it is one.
Do you think that's a fallacy
kinda-
to have that alternative?
It's a fallacy to argue a point that isn't relevant.
I think that
Well, it is relevant.
yeah,
That's what you're saying.
I think
A
specifically
straw man when it's not relevant.
almost in the case of the torture thing, I think it actually hurts the morality argument because for the exact reason I said. What if they came up with some bizarre, weird ass torture that's incredibly effective?
Yep.
I think it almost hurts to bring that in, but I mean I don't know. It's still
Well, no, I mean, it's either immoral or moral. I mean, the question of effectiveness is honestly not relevant. If you're the kind of person who says, if it's effective, then we should do it, then obviously the morality argument is going to be not relevant to you because you are thinking it is definitely moral to do.
No, you just have a different ethical standpoint.
think it's okay
There's
to
a
do
different
it-
school of ethical thought. It just becomes utilitarianism.
Like you can
where
do
just
immoral acts
What
if
the
they
what the
benefit
what
the
the
good.
best what the
Right.
best good that
Yeah.
can result is, then you're just arguing from that.
Well, it
standpoint.
it just depends on what the premise is. Is the premise, should we do it? Then that is definitely relevant. Is it effective? Should we do it? Is it effective? Yes. Then we should. Then the other argument would be, well, it's immoral. Should we still do it despite how how it might be ineffective or effective? Then
so you argue a lot online.
ton.
What are your thoughts? What do you think about it in general? Or
I think most people are really bad and uneducated in how to carry a point, how to hold a conversation. Definitely.
He's staring right at me.
Well, I'm just talking straight. I don't mean that.
all our internet conversations have been
A
horrible.
lot of people do the U2 fallacy, which is
that's a lot.
It's the hypocrite fallacy. You say like
That's in
this
the-
politician supports environmental, pro-environment shit, yet he drives a Hummer. Therefore, everything he's saying is wrong about the environment. It's completely.
Isn't that
not-
ad hominem? Isn't that what that?
Well,
under?
ad hominem is an attack on the person, like he's very stupid, therefore you shouldn't say you shouldn't believe him. This is like he doesn't do what he preaches. Therefore, what he preaches must be false.
Yeah.
Person A makes a claim. Person B asserts that person A's previous claims or actions are inconsistent with their current claim.
Yep.
Therefore, person's A current claim is false.
And what's
Yeah.
that? What's that one called?
That's exactly what you said. It's a U2.
The
Or
U2.
it's personal inconsistency. Is what it
Tu
is.
quo quo is the Latin.
Wow.
That they do that one a lot, and especially politicians. Like
Sure.
Arnold Schwarzenegger supports the environment, but Arnold Schwarzenegger takes a jet everywhere.
It-
Like if they like the environment, why are they taking this personal jet everywhere?
It's not an
It's
issue
like-
with the argument. It's an issue with the trust or credibility of the person, which are two different things. The argument is still accurate and valid. Your trust, faith, or credibility of the person in general diminishes because you believe they're no longer credible or trustworthy.
Right.
But those are what people don't realize is those two things can be separate, and that's where the mistake comes in.
So that one's the one that comes out very often, and every time it happens, you're just like,
One of my most annoying ones is the slippery slope argument.
yeah.
I fucking hate that one. And in law school, this is the one that people fucking reference all the time. And usually it's because they don't want to get, they don't want to give an answer. It's like, well, it's a slippery slope. We can't really, you don't want to go down that road because then what? Who knows? A slippery slope is where you say, what about what happens next? If you do this, therefore, it's the if you give a mouse a cookie.
This is Malone's argument toward why we shouldn't sterilize all kids.
that's
Because what's next?
Another part of it.
Then the government takes the drug, and then nobody.
So
can
wait,
reproduce.
so are you saying that isn't this sort of thing is considered in legal judgments? I mean, the future applications of such a law are precedent, right?
Precedent is an idea, but that's the difference is that a slippery slope argument essentially refuses to answer or make a decision because you're making a series of loose connections and loose possibilities. So it's like, well, what if we it's like saying no discrimination. Okay, well then, if we say no discrimination, well then we say that everybody has to be the same. And if everybody's the same, we lose our individuality. And if we lose our individuality, we all become the same blob, and then there's therefore no more people. Like, that's a slightly ridiculous example of it, but it's taking a point past the logical conclusion of what could result.
Yeah, you're not taking into account, like, that's not the only path it could take. So, like, you could justify we shouldn't develop, in my example, like, we shouldn't develop new technologies because what if that technology is abused? Like, we shouldn't investigate time travel or artificial intelligence because then the robot could take over the world and then there'd be no humans.
The definition is...
But the conclusion isn't for sure, so you can't make a decision there.
It's a series of statements that have a superficial connection which lead into what is often a rather far-fetched conclusion. Yeah. So just because it could happen based on the chain of events that you're imagining does not mean that it's the initial...
certainty.
Exactly. So that's a slippery slope one. That one drives me nuts.
Heard that one, yeah.
I like the slippery slope one.
You like that one?
How do you like it?
Because
it's
I
mean, go ahead. Sorry.
Because usually
I mean, if you start using the slippery slope, then you're going to start using strongman. And then you're going to start using YouTube.
It's a gateway fallacy.
Heart's killing it.
It's a gateway fallacy. Yeah, Hart. You finally fucking stepping up in the last episode.
I guess I like it specifically in relation to like civil liberties and government surveillance and things like this. I just because I agree with I don't.
I'll say it can be a useful tool, but it can't be your ultimate. What people use it as the ultimate conclusion. Essentially, they're saying because it's a possibility, end of story. Right? They're not even.
You can't move it at all.
It's like in
you can't move
Batman
at all in that
versus Superman,
direction.
where
did you see it?
If there's even a 1% chance that Superman becomes bad, then 100% he must be stopped.
Wait, have you seen it?
No, but I know that. I know that's the meme. But that's a slippery slope, though.
Yeah.
Like Batman took a slippery slope. He says, "There's a chance that Batman's bad, so I got to stop Batman now."
Yeah,
that's not logical to do because you could justify anything with that.
That's exactly.
There's a 1% chance Russia will nuke us, so we better take the first strike.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I hear this slippery slope with talking about what do I want to call it, like what people call social justice kind of things.
Yeah.
Because then you say the target stops gendering toys for boys and girls. What's next? Like I can't call my son "Hey son" in public or something like that. I hear that one quite a bit.
Malone, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's
exactly.
like it's an excuse to not progress, basically. Progress.
What do you think, Hart? You argue a lot online as well.
I do argue a lot. I just swinging for the fences. I'm probably full of straw men. I think that was my problem a year ago. I think I got called out a lot on straw men, even by you.
Yeah.
I'm bad because isn't an analogy, isn't that a fallacy in of itself? that's all I am is Mr. Analogy.
Not necessarily, although there is a type of fallacy involving analogy.
Yeah, I'm just bad. I'm ADD, so I feel like I'm not good at structuring.
You're not trying to do that. I mean, you've already gone down a different road in your mind, and so you think that's what like the discussion is, but you're not purposely trying to like.
Yeah.
The analogy one is that like your conclusion is based off of a somewhat unrelated analogy, and I read one a little bit ago. I could find it again, but it was like, it's dogs are a like biological entity that has to like reproduce, and therefore. Any limit, like monogamy, is wrong because it's biological that animals have to fuck. Something like that, right? There's other arguments there. Just saying that dogs have to fuck, therefore we have to fuck.
We have to have multiple sexual partners. So.
Yeah.
What's interesting...
And eat our own shit.
What's interesting about these is when you're dealing with somebody who doesn't know about them, and he makes them.
Sure.
Well, that's what's so frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, it's frustrating, but you can educate people like that. And then there's people who do know, and they do it on purpose, and they're like manipulators.
Sure.
Like a lawyer would know all these.
They're like a shock jock where you can always kind of twist it, and it's
I mean,
just
they work.
good
The
enough.
thing is, they work. Like it makes sense to say, like, well, look, Arnold Schwarzenegger drives a Hummer. How can he possibly be an authority on environmental issues? And then it's like, then it's really like malicious when they do it that way.
Law school is not really about learning dick about shit when it comes to actual law. Like you take classes, but you really like it's all kind of just stuff coming at you. What it really is like learning logical arguments and learning how to structure logical thought and avoiding fallacies and how to poke holes in them. That's all it really is. The rest will come in whatever job.
Everyone should look it up though. If you are into fighting online, you should definitely like.
Well, I have always advocated for the last over a decade at least since I was in high school. I think I've always advocated. We learned at one point in one English class. I remember we touched logical fallacies for like 3 days and had a quiz. Whatever.
I don't know.
I think it needs to be a larger part of the curriculum.
I took it in college.
In multiple years. I think I had it in college too. But in multiple, but it was such a short. I mean, nothing was going to stick because you learned like 2 sides of a worksheet of like all these definitions, and you kind of had to memorize them quick, and then next week you were done with them. But I think more kids should have to put them into practice. They should have to like this quarter when you do a persuasive paper, they should do some sort of like fallacy analysis and then like a rebuttal kind of paper or something. They need to do something to get people better at, because that's all we're going to do in the future
critical
anyway.
Thinking, yeah.
That's all we're going to do in the future is argue on the internet. So I mean, we might as well be prepared for it.
One that I feel like pops up a lot and drives people nuts is correlation does not equal causation. I mean, that's a classic one. You know, just because 2 things are related does not mean that one caused the other. Right? And you probably see all of that. That's probably one of.
Well, yeah. The big joke is 100% of serial killers drink water.
Yeah, so, I mean that's
I guess that's a joke.
The one I learned back in school that I remember was they showed the graph that's ice cream sales and shark attacks, just right in line. Like shark attacks just spike when ice cream does too. Like, not to mention that the summer is when people swim and the summer is when people buy ice cream. That was the lesson from this.
Shark attacks and ice cream.
Yeah,
that was good.
One, what you were talking about just now. I mean, poverty and poor people are generally less intelligent. That's a correlation.
You heard it here first, folks.
I said it. Yeah, but is it causation or is it just correlation? Right? You need more information and you need more data. You can't just make that assumption.
That's right.
All of a sudden, if you just put $100 in your pocket before you go in to take a test, all of a sudden your grades are going to go up.
Yeah, I mean, there you go.
Here's another one. Is logic right?
That's a great question.
Wow. Is the logic we assume is this right? How do we know this is correct?
That is a good question.
Well,
it is
because there's more to decisions and discussions than just logic, and that's the whole thing with I forgot which philosopher it was, but there's logos, pathos, and ethos, right? Those are the 3 what are they? Components of some shit?
Yeah, whatever.
Who fucking knows?
Well, if we always end up just being like not knowing what
we
the
know
hell
just
we're
enough.
talking about.
Yeah, just enough. But
That one guy said it. Remember?
But logos is ethos, or logos is logic.
Yep.
Ethos is like ethics, and pathos is like emotion.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, is logic right? I don't know. I mean, some people live their lives that way. That if it's not logical, it can't be right. My boss is one of those people.
Well, I think that in an emotional argument, I mean, the illogical arguments are like provably illogical
by logic.
Well, right, but like you can show that this isn't actually part of this discussion. Yeah. You can like do it with letters. You can do it with an equation. But so like I would say logic is right, but an emotional argument isn't illogical automatically.
Not automatically.
But think about when you want to when you see somebody in the bar that you're attracted to, is it a logical conclusion?
Well, I don't know if that's.
I mean, what? No, I'm just saying, like you're motivated, like you're not saying like, boy, they probably make for a good childbearing, but like it's all in your brain. It's all emotional. That's an emotional decision that you're making.
It's not that. Yes,
you're not thinking logic.
Emotional decisions can also be logical, but the question is, if it's not logical but it's emotional, is it inherently wrong?
That would be a question.
Or flawed.
that is the question.
That would be a question.
Would you like to entertain it?
That has the potential to have a question mark at the end of it. You're right.
I think logic's right. I think so.
I'm still not answering the question.
I mean,
tons of fallacies up in here.
Is it what's the question?
The question is.
Is logic right?
No. The question is if something is based. If you make a decision based on emotion, even if it's not necessarily consistent with logic, is it wrong?
Depends on the context, I guess.
Okay, well...
Wrong for who? Wrong for society? I mean, it depends on what perspective you're taking. Like, if I emotionally killed the person who cheated on my wife, with
Okay, well, let's say
that
this.
would be right
Let's say
for
this.
me.
Your wife cheats on you.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Sticking with her.
Let's
and
make it
being with-
specific with me.
With Malone.
Yeah, this is fun.
We go two ways. We can go being friends with Malone still, or staying with your wife might be illogical. Okay. Logically, someone hurt you. They have the potential to do it again. They're not trustworthy. Whatever. But emotionally, you decide to stay with them. Right? We see this all the time.
Sure.
Is that the wrong decision if you made it from a purely emotional standpoint?
Asking me personally, is it in my situation?
It
I
did
think-
not involve logic at all. If you just used emotion.
Well, I mean, okay, if that happened to somebody I observed, I would say they're making the wrong choice because logically it's incorrect. If that was me first person mode, then I mean the emotional choice would probably be the correct one as far as
I feel like you're missing the whole.
I don't know what it depends. I mean, wrong from whose perspective?
Yeah, but so just like logic has a, you can say that if something is logical, it is logically correct, right?
Yeah.
Can there be a universal, objective, emotional correctness?
No. I don't think so.
I don't get what that means because the emotion that's felt by the observer and the participant.
Well, some people will say that as long as you,
the subject.
I mean, some people truly believe that as long as it emotionally jives with you, as long as it's emotionally what's good for you and what you believe is right in your heart, it's the right decision, right?
Even if it's against the law and against.
Yeah. Well, for example, some people will say that quitting a high-paying job to pursue something you are more interested in, even if it's a risky choice.
Sure.
It's not logical, but it might be right because emotionally it's what you want to do.
Yeah.
And some people say that anytime you're following your heart, obviously within not insane limits like murder,
Okay.
you're doing the right thing, even if it's not logical. Well,
it's not like that's not a discussion. Like what is logical? Like if you're happier but get paid less, and happiness is worth more to you, then that's definitely logical.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think
it's logical. No, hold on. It's not.
If you're making a choice to get paid less and be more miserable, that's very illogical.
Okay.
But why would that ever happen?
Well, in your mind, there always has to be a logical component at least for it to be the right choice.
From my perspective, definitely.
Okay.
But I'm a logical person.
You have a dog.
Yeah.
Dogs cost money.
Yeah.
Their responsibility.
Oh, yeah.
Their effort. Things go wrong if something happens to your dog. It's stress. It's sadness. It's a lot. It's not really logical to have a dog in a lot of ways.
Also, environmentally, it's not logical.
Okay. Well, I don't know. Whatever. But you have a dog.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the right choice?
Yeah, because the factor that like my dog brings me a level of enjoyment,
And the enjoyment outweighs everything
and that
else.
outweighs
That's
everything else.
logical.
Yeah, if I hated my dog and made me miserable, and it cost me a lot of money, then it'd be very logical for me to have a dog.
So can you have? In that case, then is logic all perspective based? Is emotion just perspective based logic?
Yeah, that's a great thing to say, I think. I mean, the best example of this problem is an abusive spouse. This is the greatest example. It's a woman who's abused by her spouse, or I guess a man, but let's say woman just because it's easy. And she stays with him, even though she's miserable and it's not effective in any way, but for some reason she's still with him. From her perspective, that it must make sense somehow, right? But we can't understand it because we're not the subject. Mm-hmm. So for her, it must logically make sense.
Well, I mean, I think you see a lot of situations where they know, like you said, they know they're unhappy, they know they're miserable, they know it's bad for them.
But they're still staying.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, they're overriding logic in that situation, and they're making a decision absent or in the face of logic.
Maybe, or they're getting the wrong information. Like they think that something will be worse. They can't find a better person. Mm-hmm. They're not worth it.
How about
they can't support themselves.
I'll give you an easy one. So here's your options. You can do the life that you're living currently now, or you can get paid $1 million a year, but you die at 55. Okay. So what'll happen is like you might choose. You'll say that's not worth it to die that young, or to be guaranteed to die that young. I'll take my chances. He might take the opposite, right? What was the logical correct option there?
I don't think it's clear.
It's not clear. So then you're
reverting
to a different decision.
I guess. I mean,
this would be one where emotion comes in the fact that you weigh and value things differently. That's a value.
It would be our value thing, yeah, but that's not illogical. You know, like if I'm happy with my life, I want to have as much as possible.
It would be
Then you're talking about
it
logic
would-
being subjective.
It would be illogical if you made that choice using a series of deductions that didn't connect. So let's say that the reason you wanted to take the one where you die at 55,
You can get $1 million a year.
because in your head you go, I'm only going to live to 58 anyway, so who gives a fuck, right? That's illogical. Now, is that the wrong choice because you were illogic in making it? Not necessarily right. It can still be the right choice even if you arrive there by illogical conclusions.
Well, I mean, you could illogically arrive at the right choice.
Yeah.
Absolutely, that could happen all the time. You can have an illogical support for the right decision, and that is still the right decision. I think that's not...
Is there always a right choice?
I think yes. This is something that I've talked about this a lot, and I think that absolutely there is a right choice for everything. And opinions are a joke.
What?
Yeah. This is one of my big philosophies.
I understand.
What if-
there is
what
a right
if-
choice,
what if-
but what about opinions or?
What if Adams?
I think that there's the only room for there's no room. I believe. I mean, there's a lot of room for discussion, but I would say there's no such thing as an opinion.
I listened to a podcast about film. It's
Okay.
a movie podcast. And there's a lot of discussion about, can you objectively rate movies, or is it all your ratings are an opinion from a personal perspective? And the discussion comes down to, well, okay, let's say the Godfather. Let's take The Godfather.
Okay.
Versus, what's a fucking dumb movie? Corky Romano with Chris Kattan?
Wow. Did you have that one
Just
ready?
had that one.
Was
That was from his car. He thought about that.
It recently, I made that reference recently, so it was in my head. But obviously, okay, let's say that you're somebody who just loves comedies and you hate dramas.
Yeah.
Chris Kattan's Corky Romano is a 4-star movie for you, and you give it 4 stars. The Godfather is a drama. You give it one out of fucking 4. Let's say 4 stars. I don't know why I picked that.
You fell asleep.
It's their own number of stars.
Let's say 5. 5 out of 5 and 1 out of 5. Okay.
So it should be like 1.3 out of 5.
Are you wrong there? Because what you're saying is my opinion is all that matters here, and my opinion of how I like the movie is how I rate it. Or can you objectively rate those two things, and is there a right and wrong answer? Which one's a better movie? Is it subjective or objective? That's a discussion they have a lot.
I'll tell you my philosophy
Yeah.
of how I perceive the universe. Okay. There is I think there's a finite amount of information that exists. And once all of it is known, then there's no room for opinion anymore. Like once you know everything, there's no such thing as an opinion. You just have the right answer for everything.
So you believe the only reason that debate exists is because there is...
Well, we don't know everything. So there's a lot of reasons
there's a
why we
lack-
have debate.
Well,
we don't know
that's
everything.
what I'm saying. The only reason it exists is because there's a lack of knowledge.
Yes. Once we know everything, like a God figure, he knows everything. Would God ever say, my favorite color is red? Would he say that? Like, is that a thing that would happen for him? Or would he just know for a fact that, like, well, fire should be red. That is the right answer. And water should be blue. Or whatever the fuck, water is clear. And, the sky is blue. But, like,
So does...
there would just be a right choice for a
So
right.
So you think that the person? So once everyone's like transcended, perfect, godlike, whatever
We're all going to
creature,
think the same?
That's
We
exactly
would all
what I'm
know.
saying.
I'm saying we wouldn't necessarily think the same.
No,
but we'd all
you're
have-
exactly saying that because we would have to, because every answer would already have an outcome.
but even about
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. I guess we would
even
all.
about preference, like color, like you
No,
said?
because the preference is eliminated by the knowledge of what is the best choice.
The question of color is the example I always use, and I would say, like, you wouldn't really have a favorite color, but for every situation where a color is relevant, you would know what the right choice is. Like, what color should this room be? You would just know what color it should be because, well, based on this being this type of room and what we want people to perceive here, violet would be the right color for this room.
The option of even having a favorite color is removed because you know that is a waste of mental energy, and therefore it's an obsolete thought. Something like that.
Yeah.
And therefore the only thing that matters is utilitarian purposes.
What is
for
the best
knowledge.
color for this situation?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what you're saying.
Yep, that is what I'm saying. And I think that if all information is known, that would simply be there would be no room for that kind of stuff.
That's very interesting.
Wow.
That's how I've thought that way for a long time. I think we talked about this in our college days.
What an awful future to live in.
I'm
mean,
pretty sure.
like
pretty sure a lot of novels have been written.
Trillions of years in the future.
It's very interesting.
So, like, do you think your current preferences, which obviously are lacking information, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think that the stuff you like but I don't, you're just right? Or, like, are you granting me the ability to like... Can you accept that I like it and believe I do? Or do you think I'm missing something that you're not, I guess?
I would say you're missing something that I'm not.
You wouldn't just
Even
say...
with, like, food or anything.
Now,
I'm actually thinking about food right this second, and I think yes. I think that there's you'd be missing something that. Well, I mean, I'm not right about all the food choices that I make.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I don't have all the information, but food's an interesting thing because the taste is
well, so
something-
there's an element of body chemistry.
Yeah,
to
you're
this,
different
Yeah.
observers.
Food's an interesting case.
For example,
But, like...
I met a guy recently. I was in New Orleans for a bachelor party.
Okay.
And we met a guy at this bar who had a real weird foot fetish. Real deep.
Like, how weird is it?
It's not that the foot fetish was weird. It was just like how deep he got into it. Like talking about like all the elements of toes and like the waxing toes and which toe is his favorite toe.
He was like the Bubba Gump
Great.
Bubba of shrinking.
Just really like knowledgeable about like what his toe fetish was.
Mm-hmm.
Now I don't have a toe fetish.
Well, no one said he did, man. Relax.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I might have a heel fetish. I like a good heel.
Okay.
But is there a right answer there? Like, am I right for not having it versus him right for having it? I mean, the brain is wired a certain way to be attracted to certain things.
Yeah. Sure.
And I don't think any amount of information is going to make one of those right or wrong.
This isn't really here's where I would argue with you on this.
Yeah.
If you were presented a photograph of a foot and you had to pick which one, two photographs, and you had to pick which one's better looking,
Yeah.
there's a right answer there. That would be my position.
Same with, like, a person?
See,
Like, which girl's
a
better
whole
looking?
human being, yeah. So you have two women, and you would have which one's better looking? There would be a right answer. I see you, Hart.
So
I see you shaking your head.
I have a thing where I like weird, unique noses.
Okay.
Okay, that's a thing I have, probably from my Jewish heritage.
Okay.
It's just something that attracts me.
Now,
Why am I wrong if me and you disagree on a woman? Because technically, you might have another weird thing that attracts you about that other, those two pictures. You're saying we could both be wrong there, but there is an answer to one of them.
yeah. So okay, the perception of beauty changes in culture. We've seen this, like in
Although
some.
generally it's symmetricity.
We like symmetry, sure, but that would be on the course to the right answer is the symmetry argument. I think that's true, and I think that was like the most symmetrical would be a big mark toward what's right in beauty. But a lot of cultures have different perceptions. Like in old Japan, painting women's teeth black was like a thing.
I did not know that.
Yeah, they painted their teeth black instead of white.
Have you seen that? There's like
I haven't gotten that deep on the internet.
there was something a long time ago. I'm sure it's still up, but you can Google like there was one woman who did makeup and like costumes and outfits to make them into the perfect beautiful woman for each culture.
Okay.
And so you could see how like each culture valued beauty in certain ways, and so she would do like higher cheekbones for Europeans, and then like I forgot what everything else was, but they would make different adjustments based on how that culture valued beauty.
Are you talking about the Photoshop thing or something else?
I don't know if it was pure photo. It might have been Photoshop.
There was one where they said Photoshop this person to fit to your cultural
I think it was a
idea
combo
of
of
beauty.
Photoshop and like makeup and outfits and stuff. But
Well, I think the cultural perception of beauty supports what I'm saying. Is that what you perceive as beautiful is a result of your cultural surrounding?
I think your argument breaks down when you have multiple observers, and that's where
It doesn't break down.
In the trillions of years in the future. Like if everyone is of the same mind, if everyone's if the observer's identical, then yes.
well, so I guess
I disagree because I think that like he's
Where's
talking
the room
about
for difference? What's the room for difference?
that's
If
what-
there's a right answer to every single thing, how could anyone ever say anything or think anything or believe anything different than anyone else?
Well,
Well,
if we're all gods that have 100% information, then that's a good question. I don't know.
I guess my
But
question
we're
is
not all
why,
the same.
But why is that wrong? Right? Why is having different opinions wrong?
Because the idea of an opinion, it's not wrong, but the idea of having an opinion would be irrelevant because we wouldn't disagree on which color do you prefer for my car. All cars would be the color that's correct for cars to be.
Wow.
I mean, I can't say why because we don't have the information yet. But that's the way it would be. Like if you had all the information, you would just make the right choice.
So the same for a font on a website, and
the same
way
for a
of trim
font,
and the design of a house, and
all
how many
those
lanes
things.
are on a street.
There would be the most optimal design for everything. It would be just like, it would be the most perfect way of doing everything.
All right, what about
Have you read a dystopian novel?
No shit.
I don't read anything. I came up with this back in when I lived in the fucking Dave residence.
what? All right. So what's a food that Quasi likes, but say Bruno doesn't like or didn't like?
I mean, just
Let's just say carrots.
Carrots. I mean, is one of the dogs wrong? Are they missing something? I
Food
mean, do
is-
they have preference? I mean, is that fine?
Food,
I mean, like,
food is the one thing I can't resolve with this.
or what about
because
where to sleep? Like, okay, how do you sleep? Do you sleep on your back? Or sleep on your side?
where to sleep? I
sleep on your back?
I sleep
Well,
on my
there
side.
probably is a right answer.
So do I.
I sleep
Where
on
do
my
you sleep?
side.
Where do you sleep on? Back, side, stomach.
I mix it up, baby.
I sleep on my side.
I guess I sleep on my
can't
stomach.
fall asleep
Actually, I
on
sleep on
my
my
back.
stomach.
I go.
See, I
I
don't-
go stomach and back.
I mean, I like my side. Like, so you're just saying one's better, and like, there's my preference is like
Well,
a result of
for
me
that
not
one,
getting it.
for
or
that
like,
one,
I
there's
mean, I don't know.
one position puts less pressure on your spine and is better for your digestion.
Side.
This
I heard
is-
side
yeah,
is best.
side-
This would
better.
depend. This would depend a lot. This would depend a lot. I mean, it's not important to talk about how you sleep. I don't think, and how your comfort level is because it depends on your temperature, your material. There's a lot of shit going on there.
Yeah,
And
but
I
there is a
think-
right answer for the better way.
I
to
agree.
sleep.
I think there would be a right answer. So, like, if you're sleeping in a room of this temperature, with this humidity level, on this fabric, on this mattress, this is the way you should sleep for best optimal sleep.
Yeah, I guess your
And it depends on your
I mean,
bone structure.
Your favorite color example, I think, gets to the point of what you're trying
Well,
to
Color is- I think color is best,
here's where
yeah.
I think
Food is weird.
Here's where I think your whole thing falls apart.
Tell me. I love to hear this
Is that
because I'll stop believing in this immediately.
is that there you would need, like the car example.
Yeah.
The car might be there might be a better color for different situations. So for example, a car that's in your driveway should be a lighter color so it soaks up less heat, so that when you go in it should be lighter. However, cops are more likely to pull over red cars. So let's say your car is, or let's say they're more likely to pull over white cars. Okay, then in that case, when you're on the highway, you don't want your car to be white. I guess my point is that the context of what is better could change from moment to moment and in different situations.
And then you would value different things differently.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
this because think about how great a car would be if you went to park in a huge stadium parking lot and all the cars are the same color, and all of a sudden you have a car that's a different color than everybody else's car. All of a sudden that car has a ton more value than it did before you instituted the one color is the correct color. All of a sudden an alternative actually is better because you shifted so far to one side.
I like where you're going with this part.
The problem is that the best thing could be situational, and that situation has so many variables that it's tough to say what's best at any given moment.
It's weird to think about us having 100% knowledge and still driving our like modern cars. But like in a future where we know everything, we would not be driving cars.
Okay, but there would be. I mean,
That's one of those
then
argument
you're
things
saying
where
there
we're talking about
wouldn't be
something that
there wouldn't be color. I mean,
Yeah.
Let's say we're not driving
So
cars, but we live in
if our
buildings.
cars can't change color to be the best color for any given circumstance, like in a thunderstorm, black is best, or in a highway, white is best, and our cars are stuck, and we had to pick what color our cars would be, then there's an interesting, almost like bluffing game where if white's the best color, I mean, and then I guess if a speeding ticket affected you more dramatically because you made less money, so you didn't want to get speeding tickets, you wanted to avoid being pulled over, so you got a white car.
So it ultimately comes back to value.
It comes back to me. It comes back to balance. It comes back to, if you think about it organically, it comes back to a balance.
My point though is it's never a matter of opinion. The matter is what's most important to me. If being pulled over is the cost is too dramatic to me to like offset the energy efficiency of having a black car on my driveway, then I would make the right choice. I'll have a white car. And then if Yury's rich as fuck, he's like, I don't want to waste energy.
But then logic and knowledge doesn't matter. It's all about what your individual situation is.
Well, I mean, logic definitely matters because your situation is calculated into the equation to figure out what's...
Which is great,
Sorry,
'cause-
I didn't mean logic, but knowledge. Knowledge then shouldn't matter.
I want to get Malone in this because I feel like I'd be talking to Malone. Like what we're starting to develop here is basically a harmonious system. because we're talking about these extremes being countered by other things. Like what you're going to eventually arrive at is some sort of logical balance, which in itself could be a logical thing, to have a variety of cars. That might be the most logical conclusion.
Now it's,
To not have one correct color, but to have the correctness being that there is a multitude of colors.
now it's possible that
This is an interesting exercise.
it's possible that the logical conclusion of these things is that something is
It's
already
chaos.
something's already being considered. So let's say that
The bow tie
You-
really does
you-
it.
you have a-
Comment like that.
you have a computer, all right, and the computer goes, this is the best color in each of these situations. My car can only be one color. Which of these situations is most important? Based on all this knowledge that I have, I know that the most important thing is actually that my car take in the less heat because it'll save money, it'll save everything. Therefore, the speeding ticket doesn't matter because even if I get a speeding ticket, I'll save money in the long run. Then the right answer is white.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you're saying.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
So
I'm saying you got to look at it in the context of you have 100% information. So you would just make the right choice for you. But I mean, the whole idea of like how much money you make if you know everything and you're a god
the only reason
is
you're
kind
making
of fucked up.
the only reason you're making the right choice for you is because you don't have enough knowledge to make it for everything.
Yeah, I guess
Because
so.
if you knew everything, you could just make the right choice.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. I mean, in a world where we know everything, I mean, we're living in a complete fantasy utopia. Like this is, I mean, we're God. This is a God situation.
Dystopia.
Is this not like people looking for the meaning of life? They really want to have access to all. They want to be omniscient. That's the
What's
the
that?
mental, the subconscious goal people go towards.
What's
when
that movie with
why
Gun-
they seek out knowledge?
What's
right?
that movie with Gun Kata?
Equilibrium.
Yeah. What's that whole thing? No emotion, right?
No emotions.
So
Really?
So they inject people.
I saw the movie.
They inject people at birth to have no emotions whatsoever. So everybody's strictly logical beings. The movie handles it pretty poorly, but that's the idea. Is like nobody has any passion.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody just follows the law, goes to work, goes home, and everything's gray and lifeless.
correct me if I'm wrong. The movie's ultimate conclusion, I think, is that human beings are wired to have emotion, and so it's against our nature. And then it's tough, right? I mean, because he had the whole thing with the puppy in the trunk. He lets the puppy.
No, that's not that. Yeah, it's a weird movie because
But they're sick guns.
from the
Sick
perspective,
guns.
yeah, the movie's fucked up. But they're saying that the beauty that makes us human is that our emotion. That's what makes us human.
I mean, that's,
Taking that away from us makes us into robots, and that's not valuable.
yeah.
That's what the point of the movie is.
Well,
I just-
that's the whole thing of the Turing test, right? Is that what are we just? Our wiring is just the same way that computers are wired, right? The synapses in our brain fire along a certain route, and we're wired in this way to have an output response to a certain input, just the way a computer is wired to have certain responses to certain input. The only reason that there's a difference between us at this point is because we don't have the technology to have computers respond as accurately as humans.
Or the understanding of the brain.
What do you
And the mechanics.
what do you got, Hart? What do you got?
Well, there's two different things that go on because you're talking about what's correct and logical, and what I'm having a hard time grasping the end result when we're all omniscient and what that world would look like. But what I see now currently is like the way that the natural order of things are that works is things like evolution, things like that are basically it's testing all possibilities, and the things that are logical are kind of supposed to win out in the end. And the reason we have differing opinions might be because we're following those different paths, probing which things might be
But so
correct.
you're
might be
agreeing
correct.
with Krasny then?
In a way. Well, what I'm
Because
pointing
what
out
you're
is
saying is
that the natural world having different, like if he's saying he likes this thing, Malone likes something else, and one of them has to be correct, might be true in a natural order, but it might take long to get there. I'm just having a hard time when that runs out, when we finally figured out the correct path.
Well, your point's really interesting.
What that world
because
looks like.
my-
I'm having a hard
What it
time.
looks like?
I'm having a hard time conceptualizing why that.
well,
would be
everything's the same.
Yeah.
We can't possibly know what it will look like.
Now, the reason I've been really against this idea is because I think that it's against human nature. Because we're all wired differently, and therefore, even if things are right, generally we couldn't accept it. It would lead to us being unhappy, and therefore, ultimately, it hurts us.
Again, this is why I say.
But
that's why I said chaos, because I feel like chaos is logical. Because
But hold on, because your idea of
that branching
evolution,
out of possibilities is
part of
logical.
evolution being that we will eventually evolve into completely logical beings.
Into
and
a
that
singularity.
Our difference of preference is just us in small sections. Having survival of the fittest. So right now, it doesn't matter whether I like a white or red car. But as we get a tight, a more evolved society, eventually all the other problems go away, and the biggest issue we might have will be a red or white car. And then evolution will decide which one is better, because the people who pick red cars might die out sooner. People who pick white cars will live.
Disagree.
More money.
It's not. We're not evolving anymore. People aren't dying before they can have kids anymore. There's no pressure. There's no naturals. There's no selection pressure.
But I
For
counter.
human beings,
I counter.
we save our damaged people now. Instead of letting them die, we save them and encourage them to continue their
This
lives.
is idiocracy then, because I would counter that those people that are worse off might eat more poorly. They do things for their health that would make them not sustainable. Even up to young ages, they might have more pediatric illnesses because of poor genetics, poor this, poor that. Over a million years, that would still make a difference. But you're saying because they can still get to reproductive age at a healthy clip, that we would end up to the idiocracy problem where.
Well, you're assuming that intelligence, however you define that, which I would challenge anyone to actually define what intelligence is, but you're assuming that this is just a strictly genetically transmitted kind of a thing, which I don't think is.
Well, I think the whole
generally
idiocracy
accepted.
proposition is that it's not a genetic thing entirely, but the people who are having more kids tend to both be less intelligent and are in situations which will propagate or what's the word I'm looking for? Continue.
Propagates the right
Okay,
word.
propagate the lack of intelligence. So they won't have the money.
They already can't go to college.
Yeah.
They have multiple kids that can't go to college.
They live in places where bad choices are more prevalent. I mean, that's the idiocracy idea.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Should we move on?
We'll
like we're
go to picks, but I'll say one thing before nobody brought it up. And
Let's keep going, baby.
I was waiting for somebody to bring it up, and nobody did. But the real problem, where my idea breaks down, is what we all consider enjoyment is totally opinion. Like Adam doesn't like video games, and I do. Mm-hmm. Is one of us right or wrong? Is there more net joy that comes out of if you don't like chess and I do, is one of us right? That's where my thing breaks down, because
But it doesn't with the which color is better for.
No,
the
it doesn't, because
your color one's a much better
No,
example.
I'm
no,
not-
my color one supports me, because for
Yes.
every situation of what color should my computer be, or what color should my car be, I can come up with a logical reason why color matters.
Well, Krasny, I would say that it can apply to the video game thing too, because
Tell me how.
because Adam doesn't prefer video games.
Yeah.
You do.
Yep.
You sink time into video games. Generally, video games are not productive to society. Adam's probably doing things that are more productive to society.
No,
He's
not
making games.
really.
He
But
might.
I mean, I
No,
just
but
enjoy
this
them
is
more.
my fun. Like, what do I do for fun?
Okay, well, the question is that
So we have to
Okay.
equate the enjoyment. Productivity is easy to track. What's
Okay.
more productive? Easy.
so if you're both doing two different
What's more fun for me? Yeah, this
Is
is
it
fun. Like,
logical to have fun?
well, so you're saying you're having fun playing video games, Adam's having fun watching movies.
yep.
Well, then I would say that in your example, if you have all the knowledge in the world, based on how brains function, one of those will create more information in your brain and will lead to more.
Brain function.
Yeah, we'll have more learning with it. We'll have more. We'll have one takes less energy from the environment, so therefore it's more environmentally friendly.
What happens when two things are logically equivalent? So he's coming up with things.
I don't know.
But I'm just saying he's coming up with reasons why one thing might take edge over the other. What if they're they're completely exactly the same except for the output, except for the medium of the output?
I would say either then it wouldn't matter, or that's impossible to have.
I think if I'm going to really go off on a tangent, like in mathematics, right? There are certain equations that are like harmonious. Maybe I'll put it that way. Something's harmonious. What if whatever sound wave makes you feel good, a different sound wave for the same mathematical reasons makes him react in the same possible way? Those two would be basically equivalent. If you could flip them. What if two things fill the one, like a single void logically?
It's a great question.
And what if
I
maybe you
can't
both
answer.
like both sound waves? Maybe both sound waves
can't
made
answer.
same thing for you, and then you want to say one of these has to be more logical. But what if they're equivalent?
I can't answer it.
That's really what it comes down to.
I can't answer that, obviously, but I would say that once we have godlike intelligence, then
There's
these
always
things would be very clear for
Boy,
us.
One thing
I look
always-
forward to when we can resolve this problem.
I want to do one more mini topic before we go to PAX.
Do it. I want to pee though.
All right.
Should we stop the recording?
No. You go. I
just
hear
wanted the
everything over
Okay,
there.
this
I
is
know
our-
you hear. That's
this-
what I'm concerned about people hearing everything.
This is our
as
time
well.
to reflect on the podcast when Krasny's gone.
That's true.
Let's
I love talking
talk about
Krasny.
Krasny while he's gone.
So I want to say
He looks so tiny.
let's wait till we hear him peeing so we know he's not listening to us.
Yeah. Maybe if we're really quiet, we'll hear him peeing on the podcast.
Okay, there we go. All right, so should we be nice or mean? Because he's gonna hear this and he wouldn't have heard what we said.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think
Like I said, I fucking hate coming to this podcast. I think it's so stupid, and I'm so glad it's over. Like, I gotta say,
How often do you even come?
not much at all. That's how bad it is. I'm just kidding.
I'm actually having a great time. I'm gonna.
This is a good one.
I'm gonna kind of miss this. I always said more people would be a good thing, right?
I always thought so too. I always thought it had potential. I just never.
More people had some more discussion, but whatever.
I always argued that we should know what we're gonna talk, what topics people are bringing up, early in the week,
Yeah,
so
we-
people can mentally.
We always did that.
Well, no, Krasny always likes the I'm gonna lay this on you right now to get your fresh reaction.
Well, yeah, then
That's tough.
So here's my thing. I want to talk about VR a little bit,
Yes, virtual
but then
reality.
I also want to talk about this concept of the evolution of technology, the rapid revolution, and the way it's going,
the exponential growth.
yeah, and where it's going, and my buddy sent me this really interesting article. I read half of it. It's so fucking long, but where it goes is kind of interesting about how we're expanding and the way that you can see that expansion in general. But first, I want to talk about VR, just as a kind of fun topic.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about it? The VR seems to be the next thing in not just gaming, but a lot of applications of it.
Fuck yeah, man.
I don't know how I feel about it. I've been very not anti VR, but I haven't been on board. I haven't been
The
sold.
movies are right. It's going to be the new fucking thing, and we're all going to be in there doing shit.
To
Holodeck life.
To me, it's been the 3D movie of everything
'em.
else.
Hate
I'm not a
3D
huge.
movies.
I mean, I'm at the point now where I've gone to see a 3D movie and haven't hated it, but it's not necessary.
It's the thing is 3D sucks, and VR technology will get better, and VR is going to be perfect. And once VR is a perfect facsimile of life, it'll change the way we do everything.
My thing is, will we even get into it? Because right now there's such a weird. I mean, okay, right now, let's say you're. Okay.
Here's what I love listening
What
to.
was this freak out
Because this
for?
is
It's going to be the greatest thing in the world.
Well, this is the thing. Yury has not tried any VR device.
I have.
I haven't either. I mean, I
can-
tried Malone's thing, but all I could do was look at a still picture. But okay, look, in Star Trek they have the holodeck. Okay, that's what we're going for. Okay, a holodeck that you wear on your fucking head. If I had a holodeck, I would never do anything but spend all my time in the holodeck.
Exactly the problem I'm coming up with.
But yeah, but that's the problem. But the value is insane.
Well, if okay, you're in a committed relationship, hence you're married, right? The whole marriage thing, the whole till death
I
us
know.
part.
Yeah, rub it
Is
in.
it,
I know
is
that.
it is it till VR do us part? Because if you're in a VR thing all day and you just got the VR in your hand, you're sitting on the couch and your wife's walking around trying to talk to you.
She'll be in VR too, man. We'll both be in VR. Hanging out together.
So
go
here's
in
my
VR.
question. Here's
Yeah,
my
she
thing.
will.
Is
She'll be a runner, a kickboxer, a fucking skydiver. We'll go bungee jumping together.
We're not-
We'll hang gliding. Everything.
we're not there yet.
Never leave
all
our
from the
fucking house.
from the safety of our
So
couch.
there's a book.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a book I've talked about in this podcast, actually, Ready Player One.
Ready Player One.
Where that's essentially what happens is the whole world gets access to this VR technology that's so advanced. You basically just go into the system. You can feel, you can experience everything, right? You can look however you want. But then on the outside, your bodies are becoming weak and weird. And the outside world is the bad world, right? And you basically go out to eat or to do whatever.
You still have to go eat?
Okay, so
Okay,
I get
well,
it.
you have-
It's basically the Matrix. is
Kinda,
what you're
yeah,
saying.
yeah,
You're-
it's-
you plug yourself into an
Yeah.
The
alternate
Matrix
reality.
that's the end conclusion.
I mean, that's
of
kind of where
how
we're going
VR,
with
when
that.
VR takes
Yeah.
over the world.
And that's what you want.
That would be, I mean, that would be fucking awesome.
But even in the Matrix, there is a structured control system, right? And there is logic to it, and that logic exists within the world. It's our Earth, okay? Are you proposing that the system you want is unique to everyone? You know what I'm saying? Do you know what I'm getting
You
at?
know what I think?
What?
When VR runs amok, okay?
Yeah.
We will all be living in the Matrix. So we're all going to be in the Matrix. Just like the Matrix, we're all going to be in it. And then in it, it's going to be like the internet. So you can go to, it's like you're just in the internet, but you live in the sites you visit instead of just visiting them on the screen. So you go to Facebook, you go to like a Facebook server, and it's Facebook's planet. And they're in charge of all the physics and whatever. Let's just say for the sake of like realism.
This is like Ready Player One.
It's very much
planet.
like Earth.
Yeah, every planet has its own rules.
Yeah, so Facebook is Earth, and you're on Facebook. And you go on Facebook and you go, hey, Adam, I'll meet you on Facebook at 6 p.m. at this restaurant. And we'll meet there, and we'll have a fucking dinner. And then I got to meet you at the fucking Instagram microcosm.
Whoa.
What?
What'd you eat? Where'd you eat the?
You
where'd
mad
eat
that
the-
I don't meet you? Is that what you're mad
No.
about?
Where'd you eat? Like, you okay? So you meet him at a restaurant?
Yeah.
Here's a problem. If VR just feeding you now,
You-
VR
You watch The
machine?
Matrix, man?
You
You
have
eat a steak and it's juicy and delicious, and you know it's just fake because you have an IV in your fucking arm and it's just feeding you the whole
Okay,
time.
so you're going that far. Okay.
You can go enjoy whatever food you
Fine.
want at any
Fine.
time.
He's
You
going
never
really-
gain
he's
any
going really
weight.
deep.
So your senses are all wired up to get rewarded.
Absolutely, you're nothing. You
So-
are just a fucking corpse sitting there.
So
rotting
bachelor
away.
party guy with his perfect toes now is if he's sucking on those toes, he's like, it's perfect. It's exactly
Yes.
what I want.
Yeah, I mean,
but it's only because
but-
there's an electrical signal in his
there-
brain.
Yeah,
That's
you
it.
absolutely are. We're
I
just
think
plugged in.
I think the only way this works is you still have to have a global monitoring system of there still needs to be currency and there still needs to be haves and have-nots, right?
Do we though?
Yes, because if not, if you can get everything you want, it breaks down.
Who would maintain the system and why? If you can be in VR.
Robots.
So,
Wow.
Robots maintain it.
in the
We
way
made the Matrix. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, exactly what I'm saying.
Well,
Not
yeah,
the
That's
machines
the end
anymore,
result.
it's
That's the end
us.
result of perfect VR.
So
We
there's
put
a cor-
ourselves in our own prison.
there-
Is that what you're saying?
there-
It's not a prison though. It's fucking money.
there's corporations who run different VR systems, or just one who runs the VR system. Right there, it's like cable right now. I mean, there's like four of them,
Ocucorp.
right? Four fucking companies really are cable. It's like Comcast, Time Warner, Charter, one other one. They're
Okay.
all. So you have one VR company, and they say, okay, to use our service, you pay $20 a month. Okay. If you want to go to this planet, if you want to go to the porn planet, you got to pay $10 and you get all the porn you want. Right? If you want to go to the toe sucking planet,
Fuck
you got to,
yeah.
you know, because there still has to be the achievement of goals. Without goals, I feel like our brains would fuck up.
Yeah, but our goal is to go do the next cool skydiving in space thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but,
I mean,
but if
I-
you have,
from
but if
within
you
the
have
system.
everything you want, if you can just get it whenever you want it,
I think it'd be horrible for a human being. That's for sure. I think it'd be absolutely terrible.
It'd be
for
like a
human
drug.
being.
It'd be very drug-like.
Yeah, way. But even when
What's-
it's all immersive,
Yeah.
I mean, I think it would.
what's
It'd
interesting
be-
is
it'd
it would,
Imagine
be
it
insanely drug-like.
it would
wouldn't be
stop.
quite-
It would be the end of maybe evolution isn't the right word, but advancement. Exactly, it'd be the end of
Although
advancement.
here's the interesting.
I disagree with you because I think evolution. I think people put too much a stock in our, like you say, like our bodies will wither away. I think that in the course of evolution, the brain is the ultimate goal.
I'm not saying evolution, but if we create something where we can immediately get everything we want whenever we want it through this
There's
system,
no challenge, and then
yeah, there's nothing to drive us forward because we have it.
But like there still is, people would still, like if you have a creative urge, like for my job, I'm a computer programmer. I also like doing it in my free time. If I had full access to the Matrix, I'd still do that because I could probably get way sicker. I'd probably have all these cool, like, you know, whatever.
There's
get
still things
gotcha,
we
you
don't
know,
know.
all these things
Yeah,
to
Still,
do.
we don't know.
Whatever.
So,
Like I'd
what's
still
in a
do
black
that
hole?
kind of a thing.
We
and,
still
like,
need to know what's in a black hole. So our homeboy Stephen Hawking, instead of being fucking crippled, he'd be anything he wants, and he'd be going nuts making his calculations. And then all of a sudden he'd invent a fucking black hole, rocket.
Yeah.
And like, unless we know everything.
Okay, so there's still be.
There's still people who strive, to get more. I mean, you can imagine what it's like to be in a black hole, but you don't know.
But what if Stephen Hawking had a real sick foot fetish, just real deep in the foot?
oh, really okay.
And now
You waste them.
Oh, so now he doesn't have to think. He doesn't have to study black
Those
holes.
are a waste though, because for every one person who's a genius who
So-
gets distracted, there's a million people with no access to get access.
He'd
So
still
you're
have-
making the idle hands argument,
I am.
basically. Okay.
it's not a great argument.
I mean, there's a reason the Bible put it in there that
I mean, yeah, that
Thou
genius could
shalt
get
not
distracted,
spill your seed.
but at the same time, all the people that never get to be geniuses
yeah, no,
can be.
it's a bad argument because
so yeah,
I guess
it's equivalent, I would say.
what's interesting is this
It's,
article.
no. It's not because they do the test with the mice who will have like the reward system where they can press one button to get like food, or they can press another where they get electrical shock that makes them feel good.
It's fucking
And
stupid.
they kill themselves because they won't
That's
eat.
Stupid.
Because
That's a stupid
that's
argument.
not stupid because
It's
you're,
stupid because we're not fucking mice.
But
It's straw man. It's classic straw
How's
man.
that-
Yeah, but
how's
what if you could do like
Because we have
Because
a
we
higher.
have different aspirations than mice.
We have a higher.
You don't think we would favor a reward system like heroin?
We
addicts?
do, but mice can't think ahead like
we
any
do.
amount of time.
Okay, for example.
Talk about addiction. Talk about heroin addicts.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
All they do
yeah.
is do drugs.
But not okay. People do cocaine. Cocaine is what cocaine does is it specifically accesses the pleasure center of your brain and makes you feel good. However, not everyone only does cocaine all day long.
But if they could, because it was physically possible, if they just keep hitting that
Right.
button.
There's many people who could but don't.
Yeah, exactly.
Who have the means to buy as much cocaine as they want, and they do not do it all the time. And even who enjoy cocaine.
If you gave cocaine to everybody, not everybody's tried cocaine. If you gave cocaine to everybody, you think it'd be a net more people addicted, or net people would?
Well, there'll be more people addicted,
yeah.
but not everyone would be addicted 100%.
You think people
Mice.
would over? You think majority of humanity would not?
They're
be,
okay.
Yes, I do.
By your
I do.
logic, every celebrity ever
I
pretty
also
much
think, I also think yes. Yeah.
should have a cocaine addiction and only be doing cocaine all the time. Now, I'm sure a lot of people do cocaine, but there are people who do cocaine and then go,
and are functional.
even though this makes me feel good, I'm choosing not to do it for one reason or another, even though it's a pure
Well, there's a
pleasure.
lot of people who do drugs that are still go to work and do stuff. Like they do cocaine, but they don't only do cocaine.
Vast majority of
Yeah, they do cocaine sometimes for fun, but they also still produce. Like not mice are mice. They don't think ahead.
They have a
want
lower-
cocaine now, and that's it. Humans have relationships and aspirations and dreams. It's a whole different deal. I mean, some people are fucked by cocaine. Absolutely.
What if the baby's born in VR and they immediately begin with a cocaine drip that they can press the button for and get the cocaine?
That'd be
Then
good.
then you're never they're probably not gonna do anything.
That'd be a good test.
Perhaps. I mean,
Yeah, then it wouldn't get aspirations.
Yes, let's test that. Let's test that out.
But then when they're 15, they get the anti-cocaine antidote. It lets them.
I'm out.
get the
VR
drip.
it's dangerous. I would say it's dangerous. I'm not saying it's utopian.
Speaking practically, what do you think are some great applications coming up for VR?
Yeah, let's get back to reality.
How would next 5 years VR?
Yeah.
House
hunting.
real estate and
Yeah.
house touring.
Video
Definitely.
games are gonna be insane.
College campus.
I mean, video games are where they are right
Simulations.
now.
Anti-terrorism.
Yeah. Simulations are insane. Anti-terrorism.
Training.
You can control bomb diffuser robot or drones.
Training
I mean, they
for-
already kind of do that,
sure,
but
yeah.
I mean,
Training
you're basically
for police
you're
officers
not putting
would be
people
a
at
really
risk.
good one.
Training, yeah, all kinds of training.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Here's what I think VR
Driving?
needs before it can be good. You can't wear this fucking thing on your head. I mean, that thing sucks. It's really hot.
Oh,
It's
you've tried it?
just
Yeah,
nasty.
you've done it.
I have one of these things. Like it gets hot and like.
So
I mean, you can't wear some dumbass thing on your head.
And you look stupid as fuck.
Yeah, I mean, it
that's
has
a
to
big
be
part of
if
it.
it's like a regular pair of glasses or something, and then maybe you can even still see the real world.
Well,
So
great.
it'll be a
problem.
microchip in your brain.
Sure,
you won't even
that's-
need eyeballs.
right.
We'll
Yep.
evolve to not need eyeballs
The
because it'll just be directly in
the
the brain.
HTC Vive. Have you heard of this one?
Yeah.
This is another one of the VR ones. It's like the Oculus and the VR and the whatever. It has a camera up in the front, and so you can switch modes from the game you're playing, hit a button, and then it accesses the camera, and it's like you're looking out. So the VR view changes to the camera view. So if Emily comes down and is talking to you while you're playing, you hit the button, you
You
go,
take off the whole
oh yeah, hey,
And
Emily.
she's yelling at you, and you got this dumbass thing.
Oh, hey, hold on.
Look going on. Like, what are you doing? Like, you're looking at beach volleyball asses, aren't you? Like,
No.
Well, yeah,
baby,
but
it's
that
My dick in my hand will give it away though.
that makes some changes where if you just need to, like, let's say you're drinking, let's say you got a drink in front of you, you don't want to have to fucking take this thing off
Yeah,
every
yeah.
minute.
Get a drink.
You hit the button, grab your drink, go back to your
I wonder if
game.
that'll work.
So,
It's a thing now.
So say you have the cocaine drip in VR. Does that mean that when you do it, your real body is experiencing
You would have
the
no
same high?
You would have no physical addiction, but psychological addiction.
But what's
the difference?
Are you getting high?
The
though?
difference is
What if
the-
you take the
That's not a
what if you
phys-
take the
that's
goggles
a
off?
physical
Are you still
No,
high
it's
if you take the
there's
goggles
a
off?
physical addiction and a psychological addiction.
Well,
Yeah,
No,
those are the two fucking different
okay,
addiction
he's
types.
right. Because
Does serotonin get released or not? Or dopamine get released?
because
or not?
marijuana is not a physically addictive drug, but it is a mentally addictive drug.
Yeah.
He's right.
So if
You're
I
goddamn
take
fucking right
if
on
I
that.
take the goggles off, am I still high or not?
That's a fucking hard question right there.
I think you'd have to say no, and you're.
Ooh,
But
that's
then what's
fucked up.
making me high? Like, am I?
They're firing synapses. The helmet you're wearing has little
So it's just
electricity.
keeping me high while I'm there.
It depends. Yeah, it depends how it works. Yeah, it depends on the.
Wait till the scandal of AccuCorp gets caught.
But then that means that
They
if
find out
people-
that everybody's getting cocaine.
the helmet needs to be able to inject you with narcotics.
Coca-Cola
not
has
inject
cocaine.
necessarily, but like if it's got little
No, yeah, it just needs to trigger those brain
so
pieces.
little electronic little pulses it sends.
Yeah, so as soon as you take it off, you stop being high.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I feel like if a big like multinational corporation ever finds this podcast, they will hire all of us for all of our
I should have been
tyrannical,
hired by
all of our
a corporation
tyrannical
years ago.
ideas.
Listen,
like,
corporations.
let's
pay us-
sterilize
Come
babies.
on!
One time.
One time,
$5
pay me.
million.
I got so many ideas for you fucks.
Let's feed people cocaine through their brains, and we're just like riffing on it. Like,
Like,
they're gonna.
why don't we
love
think
it.
of that? Just we have
We need
all
these-
this ready.
We need these
Just do
guys
it.
in our secret
So
division.
we're talking kind of crazy about like imagine what it's going to be like, whatever, right?
But real VR is out right now.
Well,
Let's try it.
so this
I've tried
hold on, this article brings up really interesting points, and it talks about how you can see the exponential advancement of technology. And here's how it describes it, and here's how you can see it. It's called the "oh shit" moment.
Oh shit.
Oh shit, or like something like that, whatever. But the way it goes. Imagine you had a time machine and you went back into 1750, and you brought a person into today, right?
Oh.
And you showed him the world. His mind would be blown. He'd go, "Oh shit." Right? He'd go, "Wow, this is fucking nuts. I would never even imagine this." Okay? Then the 1750 guy, after you take him back, goes, "Whoa, dude, I want to fucking do this to somebody else. I want to blow their mind. Let's go back the same amount of years, let's say 250 years, okay? So back to 1500 and bring him into 1750. So the 1500 guy would probably be shocked about a lot of things, right? There'd be some interesting things, but his mind wouldn't be as fucked.
And he's brought to 1750.
Yeah, so
Dan Carlin talks about.
Yeah.
Has mentioned this exact thing and
I don't know.
something.
I'm not
like-
familiar.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in order to give that the 1750 guy to have the same impact on somebody, he would have to go back way back. Like he'd have to go back to fucking like I don't know, 0 AD or
Probably
something.
zero, yeah.
Yeah, like some crazy amount before like any of that shit existed.
Well, because all this technology happened like in the last 100 years.
Well, exactly.
It was like 1500, like they discovered the New World in 1492.
And so you have to
So,
keep
I
going.
mean-
Like yeah, so like imagine somebody in 24,000 BC would have to go back to 12,000 BC, you know, in order to have that same effect. But now look at where we're at nowadays, and here's where we're talking about. So Back to the Future came out in 1985. Okay, in that movie, the past took place in 1955. When they brought somebody from 1955 into 1985, it blew their minds. Right, all that shit was crazy to them. Imagine even now taking somebody from 2000 and bringing them up to now. We've got phones, we've got mobile internet, we've got VR. Like all this stuff was in like sci-fi movies, however long ago. In that time frame, the oh shit time frame keeps getting shorter the longer we live. And so like eventually the whole thing is it's going to be AI. It's going to be AI. It's going to be the kind of shit you're describing, the VR Matrix sort of philosophy, and that's where we're going. Mm-hmm. And what's crazy is like we're kind of joking about some of this stuff, but we can't even imagine how shit's going to look 10 years from now, because I don't think anybody in 1990 really imagined the iPhone.
It's crazy to think like that. What you're saying is like we can't imagine 10 years from now.
Yeah.
Whereas like in a lot of time in history, we definitely could. Like in the in the 1800s, 10 years from now, it's still the same.
Yeah.
Like Braveheart, if he thought what's going to happen in 10 years, maybe they get freedom. But really it's the same. They're fighting with swords, they're riding horses, they're farming. But now, like today, if you ask me what's in 10 years, I don't fucking know.
We're expecting very big things.
I mean, I slightly disagree.
That's exactly the whole point of the argument.
Fuck you talking about?
I slightly disagree with like 1990. You can't imagine the iPhone. I believe that
You're
they
right,
did.
okay.
They had like cellular phones, right? And basically all you
Not
have
in
to do.
1990.
This motherfucker.
You had car phones in 1990. You absolutely did.
Those brick ass motherfuckers.
Okay,
You're
here's
talking
you had the
shit,
Zach
Mike.
Morris phone. But what I'm basically saying is that
You're
a lot of technology is just smaller and more efficient. The iPhone is just basically, wow, what if the iPhone should just fit? If it was just small.
Look, man, if you were a guy in 1990 who said in 2005 we're gonna have like Star Trek style fucking tricorders,
I should say
you would never thought that.
maybe imagine is
You didn't think that. I watched Star Trek back then, and that was not what I thought. I'm like, in 10 years we're going to have phones that are better than tricorders.
I mean, any
You're
technology.
Like 13 years old.
Yeah, I didn't think that.
From 1982, the personal computer.
Who thought that?
Think about when laptops
Hold
first
on.
came out.
Let me rewind a little bit.
You just imagine it smaller.
Imagine is the wrong word. You can probably imagine this stuff. Okay, there are crazy Philip K.
Star
Dick.
Trek Imagine,
Yeah,
sure.
exactly. My point is that stuff is sci-fi, right? I mean, it was so far ahead that we put it into sci-fi movies. And then down the road, here we are. We actually have those sci-fi things. It wasn't like those things were in if Star Trek was set in the year 2000, it was set in like the distant future. You don't know what year it is, right? Everything's so fucking.
No, they
different.
say what year it is.
Well, Star Trek's set in a year way further than 2016.
Is that the 23 or 300 or something like that?
I don't really know, but it's not.
They said
like,
it sometime
it's not
far in the
soon.
future.
My point is that like all like the stuff we're imagining is coming sooner and sooner.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, like the shit we see in like fucking Iron Man movies and Minority Report where they're just flipping, weird shit on the screen.
Minority Report's a good example.
Yeah, like that shit could be 2 years from now. Like we're getting closer.
We could do that. Minority Report shit we can do now.
Really?
Yeah,
That whole, like,
it's just as
screen
worthless
shit.
as it was in the movie. Like,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but like in the movie, that was like, oh my god, that's such a cool computer.
Yeah.
But now we can do that. And like Star Trek tricorders, I mean, iPhones are tricorders. That's what I'm saying. But like, Star Trek is many years in the future, and that's the whole.
All the
whole
stuff
thing.
that anything you see in a sci-fi movie, I feel like, is coming sooner and sooner. It's harder to create something in a sci-fi movie that isn't probably on the way, like or close to being reality.
Can you drink that? Drink that.
Meanwhile,
there's
Christian
lots.
Brothers has had
I
the
think
same
it's-
great
you're
recipe
right.
for
I think it's-
155 years.
I think it's different. What depends on the side. Like
I feel like I'm doing a bad job of that, but
No, like back in the past, we're way behind on space travel. That's for sure. Like back in like the 50s and stuff, I thought space travel.
We need another Soviet socialist
going-
republics to compete with us, so we go to Mars first.
Space. I'm gonna go out on a limb here.
don't get me started with the space
Go
race.
fucking crazy here. And I'm gonna say space travel is not a very efficient use of our effort.
I might agree.
As a
Well,
humanity.
I agree with you. I think it's,
Unless we're wasting the resources of our planet at such a rapid rate
Disagree.
that we need to eventually get there. Because
I think that. Well, yeah. I mean, sure, but then it's like the question would be in a perfect world is that money better used to fix our problems?
Yeah.
And I would say yes.
all of it. Every cent of it ought not be used to explore what the universe is like.
I think at some point in our future, like when the sun expands and we need to like
That's
get
forever.
that-
That's forever.
I mean, it's a
But,
great-
but that's
it's
what
great.
that's what I'm saying is I think there are a lot of problems.
If
here
they're
that-
simply going to be like, okay, we have this much money. Should we spend all of it on fixing our problems, or fix all of it on getting off our planet? Splitting that up into like smaller sections seems really
Yeah, but that's-
not as
But that's a really short-sighted view versus a long-term.
well,
picture.
maybe. But I mean, if we're going to fuck up our planet and die before we get off our planet, then that's not a short-sighted view.
So I've pre-ordered the Oculus for one. So I'm in. I'm putting my money down on VR because I've tried it. My friend's got it. You're gonna try it pretty soon. We might make a special video for your channel. But the Oculus is very cool. I do have some I wouldn't give it a 10 out of 10 automatically. There are still some things technologically that can be improved with VR, absolutely. But it is a different experience. They had the 3D TVs that they tried. They tried 3D movies. These things all kind of they just petered out, right? They didn't really go anywhere. But VR is something that I think is different enough that it can stick. From my experience and having tried the different games and things like that, I think it's something that's it's such an experience. It's really hard to describe to people that maybe haven't tried it.
I
Do you
think
feel
that's-
that same way if you're talking to your friends about it? Like it's hard to describe. You can show somebody a 2D version of a 3D game.
I think
but
that's
until you're in there looking at it, it's
I agree.
It's different.
There's
it's
a major
immersive.
wow factor.
Yeah.
That's the biggest barrier to
do
entry,
it.
I think, and the reason that I'm not sure VR will fully take off for a while.
You're coming over then to try out the Oculus as well.
Well, I mean, that's really what it's going to take is people coming over and getting convinced. But it's not like it's not something that you can, like you're saying, just see by reading a review or seeing a picture. And so it's going to be hard to convince mom and dad that VR is the shit unless you put them into it. And so it's
Tell you
going to
what,
have a slower adoption rate. Maybe.
Mom and dad are going to die in a few years, so the next generation, the kids that are actually using it, they're the ones that'll adopt it, and they're the ones that'll.
They don't have any money. Their parents were allowed to procreate when
Yeah,
they were
student dad.
genetically stuck poor. So I mean, how
Well,
are they gonna buy
I
one?
couldn't afford.
Mom and
an
dad
i-
have money.
I couldn't afford an iPhone 8 years ago. I think your dad bought the first iPhone, and I will never be able to afford an iPhone. I thought that.
Now you can do a payment plan and everything.
We'll check technology got cheaper.
We'll go to picks.
Yeah, how are we
Should
gonna
we
wrap
let's
this
take a
up?
little break.
I know you want to go on tangents. I know you never want
No,
this
we're
to
going to
end.
picks right now.
Let's take a little break and go to picks.
We'll take a break on
Yeah.
picks.
Okay, because I got
Break before picks.
Just like
Well,
2 minute break.
we got a while. We better stop it before the computer gets weird.
I got a lot of picks, baby.
Yeah, Yury got a lot of picks. All right, we're gonna go to picks, and Yuri's gonna go. Yeah.
It's been a long time since I've been here, man. I picked everything.
Go.
All right, let's start. So one thing, I'll kind of go in reverse order here of what I've been doing. So me and my girlfriend, her name's Chloe. You might have heard of her. We've been watching Kimmy Schmidt on the side here. I like it. I think it's a fun. If you like, here's what I compare it to. It's 30 Rock. Kind of that sense of humor. There are definitely some characters who I think you could find annoying, which I think is what the problem a lot of people have. But it's got this just kind of infectious charm that I really enjoy. I think that it's got Erin from The Office, if you still remember that. I don't even remember her name.
Hot, real hot,
Who's that? I don't know. She's cute. Whatever.
cute hot.
Yeah. It's got Jane Krakowski from 30 Rock and some other people. But yeah, just a lot of fun, a lot of charm, a lot of character, kind of absurdist humor.
What do they do? Do they work at the same place or something?
So the basic plot, do they work?
Well, I don't know. I mean,
You're-
that's
you're-
what
you're
30,
not- no,
30
you're-
Rock in the Office is
Yeah,
like
you're
that.
not far off. No, the plot is Kim. I guess I should do that. Kimmy was trapped in a bunker. She was kidnapped by this crazy reverend, and she was trapped in a bunker with 3 women. And then right when the show starts, she gets out, and she's free now, and she goes and experiences the world as having been in this bunker since she was like a little girl.
It's like a cult.
Yeah, it's like a
They
dark
thought
premise.
the world was ending, so they went in a bunker, and then they stay there for many years.
Only they didn't all go in. Like this reverend kidnapped them and told them he kidnapped his children and told them the world was ending.
Right.
And that's what happened.
Is this like Netflix?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It's a Netflix show. It's a Netflix original show. But so yeah, that's the premise, and it's kind of this sort of, it's her from her perspective. She's got this really like infectious sort of, the world is good.
She's really optimistic.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Really great. Yeah.
Everything's new and exciting for her, so everything's fun, and it's kind of like, it's got that sort of positive spin on it and that moral spin, but it's also that absurdist, crazy humor. Anyway, she moves to New York to like go on her own and discover all the things she missed over the last 15 years. And she moves in to kind of like this like shitty apartment with these like 2 crazy characters. One's like this super out there gay black guy, and then the other lady is. Do you ever watch Taxi? The show Taxi on like Nick at Night. What about?
No.
Do you remember The Princess Bride?
Not really.
Whatever. You'd recognize this lady. She's been in like a lot of shit.
She's in The Princess Bride.
She's fucking what's his face?
She's a really high pitched voice lady. Or
Yeah. I can't do it. Fucking.
Was it Andy? Like Andy on Taxi? She was Andy Kaufman's wife.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. In The Princess Bride, she
She was the wife of the. What's his face?
the guy who did the voice of the fucking one-eyed thing from
The
Monsters
witch
Inc.
doctor guy. Yeah.
Wow, we're really going deep in this.
You're incredulous here. What?
Whatever. Point is, a lot of funny characters. A lot of people are in it. It can definitely grate some people. Like it's not for everyone, but I think give it a try. It's like quick 25, 30-minute episodes if you're looking for something like that. I've recommended it before when season 1 came out. Season 2 just came out.
I'll put my anti-pick veto on this. Don't watch the show. This show sucks. I think it's bad. I don't want it to get any views.
It's definitely a show you either hate or love. You hate or love it.
So that's how I feel about it.
Well, what's the counter argument? What
Well,
don't you like
drop
about the
the
show?
gavel.
Not
What's
funny.
your reasons?
The characters are not likable. The show's not original, and everybody's grating. And the show is just a chore to watch. Grating. Like every
The cheese
character
grater.
They cheese grate on your nerves.
every character is a fucking over the top caricature of any kind of realistic person. And you can watch about 1 episode before you're like, I've seen everything the show has to offer, and you're all done.
So how many episodes did you watch, Krasny?
7.
That's actually pretty surprisingly pretty good.
I kept on trying to give it a chance.
It's definitely not for everybody. Well, one thing you gotta understand is it's surrealist humor. So like when you say like none of this stuff could
I
happen.
watched 30 Rock, and I watched like 20 episodes.
Yeah,
of
but
that.
30 Rock could happen. That's the whole. It's just like
30 Rock with the fucking crazy Alec Baldwin fucking maniac.
They're all over the top too.
It's
it's over the top as fuck.
it's a hyper stylized.
You
version
said
of
30
reality.
Rock style humor. You said that.
Yeah, like it's like a lot of quick cut jokes and quick quips.
Yeah.
The humor's like 30 Rock, but the universe is not. The universe is hyper stylized and ridiculous, a little more so than 30 Rock.
I don't like 30 Rock either.
There you go.
There you
it's
go.
not for everybody. Look, this is not something where I'm saying you got to watch this.
Yeah, Yury wants to watch. If you side with Yury, then give us a like.
You don't like 30
If you
Rock.
side with Kraz, then unsubscribe.
Yeah.
It's quite easy.
Anybody else want to hop in for a pick? I can keep going all day.
You got a bunch.
You just
should
keep
go
going,
again.
man.
All right. Vids. The vids I've been playing lately, man.
Tell me the vids.
So, From Software is a video game company that makes a series of games.
From software?
The name of the company is From Software.
Jesus,
Get
what
a
a
better
complicated
fucking name.
They're they're Japanese.
God, I hope
guys.
that caused confusion.
But they've made yeah. So you got to go from
Bloodborne?
They've made Bloodborne. Their first game was Demon Souls. Then they made Dark Souls 2, Bloodborne.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me what continuity. Are these all a game where you play Demon Souls and Dark Souls and Bloodborne and Dark Souls 2?
No.
What the fuck's happening here?
So let me break it down a little bit. So Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3 series.
What consoles are these on? I never heard of this shit.
Dark Souls 1 and 2 are on 360 and PS3.
Never heard of them. Never heard of them.
There's a lot of things you haven't heard of.
Where the fuck are they from? I was deep into 360. Where the fuck are these games going?
Dude, how many times have I come to you and said, "Here's this really big thing happening on the system," and you go, "What's that? I never heard of that."
How many times?
Like, there's been
Why
5
didn't you
times
tell
in
me?
this podcast where someone mentioned something, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
What? Are you serious?
Like,
Not about 360.
Yeah.
whatever.
Hold on. Can I just guess what kind of game this is?
Please
I have
guess.
no
Please
clue.
guess.
I know nothing about
I love
games.
it. I love
All right,
it.
Dark Souls on PS4.
Dark Souls. So
Or
right now,
something like I don't know.
Dark Souls
whatever.
3.
Dark
All right,
Souls
so
3
I'm
is
gonna
on
guess.
PS4.
I'm gonna guess this is like a RPG kind of a game that's like heavy on the supernatural and like you get a lot of mana and you have to collect lots of items.
lot of
But
mana?
it has a multiplayer component that's not really necessary to enjoy it, and it's okay. And there's not really bosses in the traditional sense.
You did pretty well.
There's definitely bosses though.
Bosses are a huge part of the game and probably one of the best parts of the game.
He's gonna use a cider.
Pretty good. Bosses are a huge part of the game. Multiplayer is weird. There's not like a separate multiplayer component. It's actually woven into the game. But the rest of the stuff with the items and the RPG and everything like that, pretty spot on. But here's really what makes the game great is it's kind of a return to classic gaming in the sense that there are no difficulty settings. Okay. And the best thing I compare it to is like Mario. Like when you played Super Mario on the SNES, okay? You went through a level, there's a challenge to it, probably a little easier, but some of the later ones got really hard. Okay, there's no you have to make it through the level. You can't just save whenever you want. If you explore it and like really get crazy with it, lots of rewards, right? There's all kinds of weird levels and areas and shortcuts. I mean, do you remember how crazy that stuff was when you were a kid?
Yeah, your comparison to Mario, I think. Well, Mario 3.
Yeah.
Sure.
So it's very challenging. It's very hard. But there's always a chance for progression, and the game teaches you how to get better. So, for example, here's how it works, okay? You start in an area, and you've got to get to a bonfire. That's a checkpoint, okay? In that area are a bunch of enemies who are always in the same spot. They've got pre-programmed attacks, and you have to... and there's like ambushes, like it's very like you're gonna die, and you learn through dying. And as you go through the level, you kind of have you memorize things, you get better. Fucking hey, man.
It's part of the podcast.
We'll just wait. I'll wait.
What's he doing?
You learn, you get better, and then you feel rewarded because you're getting better as a player, and you're advancing, and I guess growing, and you're overcoming challenges. And so the reward is more than most games. Where a lot of games you kind of play and you're just like going through the motions. This one really requires you to succeed. In that sense, success is not found, I think, in a lot of games. 2, the world is really interesting, right?
Is it supernatural?
Yeah.
Very.
I mean, so,
It's called
like
Dark Souls,
dragons.
like-
like I don't know.
Goblins or something,
Yeah, all that
skeleton
shit.
guys, yeah.
But like all the creatures look really fucked up, man. Like the creature design is sick. Love it. Really interesting stuff. Weird, like nightmare out of your fucking whatever. Combat is really fun and really.
You get a big hammer.
You can. I mean, it's one of those things where you make a build and you go whichever way you want. But there's very few games I've ever played twice. I can think of.
This is the new game that's out now.
Yeah.
You beat it. This is the game I played with when I was at your house.
So that was Bloodborne. Same makers. The way I can, they're a genre of game at this point.
No continuity.
No continuity. They're a genre of game at this point, right?
Is this game the same as Bloodborne?
Same, different story, different world, some different mechanics,
okay,
but same game design. And the way I can describe it is like a fighting game is a fighting game no matter who's in it, right? So other developers have followed the Dark Souls game.
But Bloodborne was made by the same people.
Yeah, same people. So the same kind of, it's gorgeous, the weird creatures, the combat, all that stuff is still in it, right?
Okay.
You're rewarded for exploration. So when you explore weird things and you go, oh, I wonder what's in that corner. If you turn the camera a certain way, you'll notice a platform below you. If you drop into that platform and keep going lower, you might end up in a whole new area that's optional, that has its own boss, its own items, its own story, all this stuff. And you played BioShock, right?
Yeah.
You know how the story's mostly through picking up these fucking items and like listening to audio and stuff. The story's as much as you really want to get into it, which is great, I think, for a lot of players, because some people just want to play a game to play the fucking game, right? Like my buddy Zach plays Dark Souls and Bloodborne, right? He doesn't give a fuck about the story. Give two shits. He just wants to challenge and play the game. He just plays it and goes through it and doesn't give a fuck. I love the story. I'm really interested. I read the item descriptions. I look at the lore. I look at the levels, and there's so much in there that you can take out of it if you really want to. Basically, it's the kind of game where you can take out whatever you want to put in. But I guess the thing is, like, most games you play, I don't think you trust the developers to really give a shit about you. You kind of just, they're doing whatever they want to do. I guess the way I can describe it here is everything matters, right? They've thought of everything, and everything's there for a reason. It's very meticulous and thoughtful, and it's just a great game.
PlayStation exclusive?
No. Dark Souls 3 is not. It's on all the...
So you can get it on all consoles.
Xbox
Now
One.
that I got a PS4, I can get it.
Yeah.
I'll use my one podcast veto to say this game sucks.
Okay. And what I'll do is I'll sum up the game for you. I'll give you my review. Yeah. So it's an action RPG with a medieval undead theme.
Yeah.
There you go. That's my.
Have you played it?
My 5 seconds to his 5 minutes.
So
I've watched it being played on Twitch.
I'll just say I played.
It looks entertaining. It looks like
it's horrible.
I disagree. I think it looks like a fun game.
I never got the appeal of the first two. Bloodborne came out. All right. I've beaten it twice. I haven't beat a game twice since.
Yury doesn't beat games twice.
All right.
I don't have time for that shit. I don't play.
So
like Mass Effect.
If anybody's still listening, and they're also just.
That's a fair point.
Only a high school graduate, or perhaps they've been out of college for a while and their student ID and student email isn't valid anymore. My pick today is the website Fiverr. Okay, first of all, it's going to be Fiverr, but I'm also going to give you the link to this one special person.
What is it?
Fiverr is a website where you can get things done for you that are only charged $5 for.
Blowjobs.
I don't know
Maybe.
if that's in their TOS.
It's probably other TOS.
But here's what I did. I got Amazon Prime free for 6 months. What that means is I've had things shipped to me in a matter of 24 hours with Amazon Prime, free shipping, because you get this free, if you get Amazon Prime for $70 a year or whatever it is, you get free shipping. But since I have a student email address, now I'm an old man, I don't have a student email address that works anymore. What I did is I went to Fiverr. There's a guy that makes it for you for $5. He'll make you a student ID. Send it to you via email. You pay him the $5 transaction fee. You get this email address. You can plug in and use it to get student discounts at any of the websites that offer student discounts that you just use an email and sign up. I know there are others. I can't think of them off the top of my head. I'm not going to look for them because I don't want to spend 10 minutes like some people on their picks. But what you want to do, I'm completely satisfied. I'm completely satisfied with this. It was worth the $5 alone just to get Amazon Prime free for 6 months. And that's Prime free, like shipping, right? So if I order anything, which I've still been ordering a lot of things for, like my new computer build, things like that off of Amazon, new microphone, mic stand, things that are, $100 and something, whatever. I had a huge box, a huge green screen kit sent to me with lights like you have here.
What the hell? What are you
huge,
doing?
heavy.
You can't ask him any questions because he doesn't want to go 10 minutes here.
He's so bitter. Okay, so
these guys fucking ask me questions.
Free
I gotta
shipping.
keep talking. Jesus
Free
Christ.
shipping with Amazon Prime, all because I paid $5. So what I'll do is I'll give you the link. I'll give people the link for this. But yeah, if you have a student email address, you get a lot of discounts online. this is one way to circumvent that if you're a little bit
So
older.
he
Nice
gives you
scam.
he gives you a student email address.
You get a student email
How's he
address.
doing that?
Probably some administrator.
He's probably
some ability to make
I'm
an
pretty
email
sure he's an
address.
admin at the college system
Wow.
that you get. So I basically get a community college email from a certain community college. I'm not going to really.
Good thing no one listens to this podcast, otherwise
Yeah,
someone
no.
might shut this down.
But yeah, that's my
It's a
pick.
good tip, though.
That's my
That's a
pick.
great
man.
tip.
Could you also
I like
get a
that.
student ID? Because you can get discounts in real life with that.
You
That's
64 people listening. That's sick tip. right there.
Yeah, that's a
because
good
what you
tip.
do is
That's a good life hack.
I can cancel my trial. The other thing I did with it is I got so you know Adobe Premiere and Adobe like
Fuck
Photoshop?
yeah, I know 'em.
Okay, you can spend. So they're all subscription based now, right? So you pay $20 a month for each program. That's the current rate is $20 a month for each program, or like.
Hart, I gotta have you on in a life hack video.
But here's the thing.
It's the most excited he's ever been about
Here's what you
anything.
get with a student
He hates
ID.
those programs too.
Here's the thing, Adobe has like 18 programs, whatever it is. If you're gonna get every one of them at $20 a month, like you're gonna be paying $250, whatever it is, a month just to have access to all these programs. But even if you're using just multiple, Adobe Photoshop, Premiere, After Effects, if you do video production and the photo editing, all those together would be $60 normally. If you have a student ID, for $19.99 you get access to every Adobe program there is.
Look, man.
That is a great life.
Adobe's a bad example because everybody's already pirated that.
You can't, but here's the thing now: the pirate is very difficult now because of the subscription feature.
Is it?
So if you're a
It
grown
works the same.
okay, well if you're a grown adult and
heard.
you have $20 a month that you're fine just paying that, you can go with the student ID route and get every.
If you're a grown
That's a
adult
good
that breaks
tip.
the
you
law,
can get
That's
it
a good
late-
tip.
You can get it.
if you're a
late-
grown adult
hold
that
on,
breaks
I
the
don't-
law,
I'm
You're
sure
not
this is
breaking
the law.
I don't think you're breaking the law. You're breaking policy.
Yeah.
Just because I'm not taking classes currently at this community
thing
college
Mitch
doesn't
is-
mean I can't be registered.
It depends. It depends
right.
on
Well,
how.
Mitch should be standing up for
I don't
Adobe
think.
in this
I don't think
case.
getting the
Hey,
student. I don't think getting the student ID is breaking the law. Using it in different capacities might break the law. in some
Yeah, I
ways.
think you're not like you're not supposed to get the retiree benefit if you're not retired at the movie theater or something. But anyway, that's my pick, and I think it's very useful.
As a life hack,
I'll make sure I get you that
Great.
one.
Just 7 minutes. Not a bad.
Yes.
close call, motherfucker.
Thought we were all friends.
Yury's
here.
What
right,
are you
though.
doing with this green screen?
Yeah, what green
I don't
screen?
know.
motherfucker? He's
Well, I told
starting
you,
a
we're-
Twitch.
It sounds like-
We're
it
on
sounds-
Twitch.
it sounds-
We're gonna be getting on
He's doing
Twitch.
Twitch, man.
For gaming.
Yeah, we're gonna be playing games online. Dark
He's gonna
Souls
be-
3
he's gonna be
VR.
playing- Dark Souls.
Who's
Hart's gonna be all over playing games poorly for lots of viewers.
You see me on Krasny's dimly
Whoa,
lit,
who's-
poorly lit NES series.
Better
fuck you
get
mean dimly
careful,
lit?
careful not get
Hold on.
doxxed.
Who's we playing games?
What's this?
Who's we?
I mean me.
Just you?
Just Hart.
And the people that watch me.
Well, don't
the
ever use
64
don't ever use
viewers that
the
are coming
word-
from
the
here.
Plural again. Jesus Christ.
Wow, he's all over me now.
You
He's
were-
so-
you
he's
were-
so
you-
mad.
you-
I got him. I got him riled up.
Flex
You broke
man.
the circle.
Let's flex first. Come on.
You broke the circle.
Who's okay? What else we got? Books.
I was just
Malone?
gonna say Rocket League.
Rocket. Malone's on
All right,
here.
Let's hear
can't
Rocket
stop.
League
Hoops mode
I
coming
gotta
up.
pee again.
Go for it.
Rocket League's just the best, and if you don't play it, it's on everything.
There's already a Hart pick.
Yeah, I've made it a hard pick before.
I'm picking it again because I can't emphasize how great it is.
Rocket League straight. How are we gonna end this podcast?
We should-
We gotta wait for him to
we
get
should-
back.
We should, at the end, we should get as sappy as we can and try to make him cry. Like, be really serious.
He's not that- he's too logical, he
will
won't
not,
do it.
He won't believe it either. He will not believe it.
You think he'll cry?
No, I don't. I don't think he'll
What if
cry.
I punch him in the dick?
What?
Maybe, what if I pretend to cry?
What?
Or hide my real crying?
Just say you're
behind
really
the
you
facade.
say you're really appreciative of like
We
how
all,
he-
You know what?
If
No,
we
no.
all just give him
Yeah.
like a handshake, we're just like, Alex, like, I think this is really fun.
say how appreciative you are that he's invited you on, and like a lot, like let
Yeah.
you like on
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
I'll try to get fake choked up about this. Yeah, like I mean, I love shooting those rockets out.
What do you
like
guys
with
think
the
about-
rocket launcher?
What do you guys think about Star Wars?
About what?
Have you talked about it on this podcast?
About what?
Star Wars?
Yeah, I was on here one time.
I've
when we
not
talked
seen the
about
new
it.
Star Wars yet, and I'm a horrible human
It's-
being for that.
It's
Well, I was gonna wait like
lot
till
of-
it was out in the theater for a couple weeks and then go some night after work, but I just like lost the interest. Like the hype like died down, and then my excitement died.
now it's on Blu-ray and shit, and so.
Yeah, I'll just download it.
I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's when you really like dig into it, it falls apart a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But
I liked being there and watching it, and it had some cool parts, and
exactly, it's. I think that the issue with it is that there's a way to pay homage to something without retreading it step for step.
right,
And
and they
they
copied
retread,
everything.
So
I'm talking Star Wars.
What do you think?
don't worry about
Yeah,
it.
female lead, man.
They do.
Wow.
By the way, I love.
Get fucked.
Did you see the fucking
Comment
like
firestorm.
internet reaction from the next trailer coming out for the new movie with also a female?
Rogue
lead?
Squadron?
Rogue One.
That looks sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rogue Squadron's.
I haven't
GameCube
seen-
game.
No, Rogue One it's called.
Rogue One.
But that's not like the second one. That's like a
Spin-off.
It's
This
a-
is one of like
yeah.
the soon-to-be dozens.
Star Wars
of
story.
spin-offs.
oh, like
Sounds
like
sick,
a Marvel
I like it.
universe that has
Yeah.
like
I like it.
Not quite.
superhero movies planned to like.
So what about the
23rd?
internet reaction?
Well, so it's got another female lead, and they're like, "Whoa, fucking more female leads! Can guys get cast in these movies?"
Wow, really?
Yeah, it's like
Man, that's rough to be a man in
Oh,
today's
yeah,
world.
right.
We almost have nobody to look up to in the movie
if
world.
only there were more movies with male action leads.
I know.
I mean, we just need some more.
I just don't even think it's a thing. Like it's just I don't know. It's so stupid. I'm just gonna read my picks and not talk about them at all.
Okay.
Witcher 3, played that through. Great action RPG, also, but not as good as Bloodborne and
I
Dark
heard
Souls.
that game
Timely.
sucks.
very timely game
It takes a lot of time, a lot of content.
that came out in 2015, right?
Yeah, books. The Traveler's Gate series.
Just say books, period. Just leave it there.
Books.
Read some books.
Traveler's Gate series, good fantasy series with magic system.
I have it on good authority that our listeners do not read.
Probably. Movies. I watched some movies. They're good.
Best pick yet. I watched the movies again. Malone, you want to get your pick in there?
Yeah, here's mine. So we at the very beginning of this, hours ago, we talked about pop in schools. I used to drink pop quite a bit, specifically when I would eat a meal. I would love to have just like a Sprite. You know, I love the carbonation, like the taste of it, or a Coke or whatever.
And you're talking soda for our non-regional listeners.
Right, yeah, soda.
Our worldwide
yeah,
listeners, it's
carbonated,
soda.
Sugary beverage, soda pop.
That's not how your
Coke,
parents
well,
raised you, Malone.
No, they had pop around.
It was
sometimes. No, they had pop around sometimes.
Milk, always.
Milk.
How
Milk,
fucked is Cranston's
Well,
pronunciation?
all the time.
Yeah,
Sanitary.
you're right about that, but we had pop too. But anyways, the point was I used to love pop. I always liked it when I eat. And then one day I was over at a friend's house and he had just regular carbonated water, and I drank some of it. I'm like, fuck, like this has all this like the sparkliness of soda pop, and I love it. So now I've switched like totally to carbonated water when I eat, and it satisfies my satisfies my need for my sparkly beverage when I
You're
drink.
just looking for a kiss.
You're a lizard. You're a lizard person.
What's
for that
wrong?
opinion? That is
I'm just
wrong.
listening.
What do you mean?
I just talked about something this like I think it was this morning. Today we talked about how shitty mineral water was. How
So you're saying,
carbonated
like,
water.
That's not mineral water, is
the
it?
carbonated
You're saying
water, just
bubbly
the,
water.
Yes, what I realized is what I liked about the flavor is I like the bubbles. I don't give a shit about the sugar.
You like the taste of like
I
ground
like
up,
the bubbles.
ground up tin. It's like you're chewing on ground up tin.
So you
the
like
bubbles.
like
I don't know
La
about
Croix?
that. I like-
La Croix?
Look, LaCroix.
LaCroix.
Yes, I get that one, or
Perrier,
Canada
Perrier.
Dry, or sometimes
Perrier.
Perrier
That's
if
what
I
my
got a
parents
few
have.
extra dollars in my bank account for the month. Like yeah, I'll get any of them. I get a bunch.
But that's
I have
a
it all
very
stocked up.
European ideology.
I love it. Yeah, I
Europeans are all
absolutely
about
love it.
mineral water.
Now,
It's replaced all soda except occasionally I have a soda.
For some reasons, those don't refresh me the same way a glass of water does.
yeah, I
It's
would-
stabbing you in the throat the whole way.
Right,
down.
exactly. I like that though. I've gotten used to that. Like, and then you burp like horribly. Like it's it's probably actually bad for you. I don't know, but I like it.
I wonder when eventually we know everything, which of those will be the right answer.
Carbonated water will not be the right answer. It's a total,
All I know-
a total
here's
waste
what
by
I-
any objective
Worse
measure.
than water.
Here's what I do
Worse
know.
than water.
Yeah.
Here's
Yeah,
what I
worse
do
than
know when we finally get to that point. Not listening to this podcast will be the correct choice.
Well, luckily, we've already done the work
after
for everybody.
64 episodes.
We've already done the work for
What a,
everybody.
what a,
and cut
what a
it.
motherfucker comes in
You
here.
got any picks?
What a piece of shit. Yeah, I got a fucking pick.
Boring.
It's called the Agree or Die Podcast, episode 1.
Actually, no, it's my new podcast. It's I'm rebranding.
It's all
Yeah,
about
I'm ready to get rid of all
fucking-
jettisoning all these fucking novices. It's just Krasny all the time. My pick is my beautiful wife Emily.
Wow! Wow!
Wow.
She's never been a pick.
What a piece of
and
shit.
It's about time that I made her a pick.
So how can people go out and find your wife? Emily?
Yeah, how can I get a piece of that?
Are you swingers now?
They can follow her on Twitter. They can follow her on Instagram. She's very clever and hilarious. So
Just want to offer it out there to everybody if you'd like this.
Well, you're gonna give her information
No,
out?
well, be respectful. The information will be presented in the YouTube video.
Oh.
Emily gains 3 new followers.
Well, it's Emily Krasny on Twitter. Yeah, I mean, I'm not.
Do I get 2 vetoes?
Oh man. Wow, you can't veto that.
I know.
You can't veto that,
Oh
man.
man. Can't veto a man's wife.
This podcast is great because I could give my social security number out and it wouldn't get stolen. Nobody's listening right now anyway.
You guys are really hurting me.
Nobody stayed this long. We're 3.5 hours into this thing.
I was a syllable into the word Dark Souls and everybody dipped out.
Oh man.
Hey,
Any picks?
you know what though?
I had a pick. I had my fiver pick.
I just want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Yeah, Chris, this has been It's been a great time.
I've had a lot of laughs. I've had a lot of moments looking into your eyes, really understanding you. I feel like I know you better than I did before we got here. I've given Malone many hand jobs under the table during the filming of this.
I've never felt more like an internet celebrity than appearing on YouTube on your podcast.
Thanks everybody for watching and commenting and leaving us positive reviews on iTunes. And fuck the one person who gave us a 2-star review.
Somebody, whoa!
Yeah, that one guy.
Wow.
Jesus Christ.
Fuck that.
Gave you
fuck
the
that guy.
old number 2, huh?
Everyone else, thank you very much. We really appreciate it. And
Yeah, it was really.
If you like us, unsubscribe.
if you like us, feel free to subscribe.
Thank you for hosting this, and this has always been very enjoyable. I appreciate being invited,
Wow.
and
That's heartfelt.
I am glad to spend this time doing, what we really always used to do.
Drinking your alcohol.
All the time is kind of shooting the shit, but now we can share this with others. So
Hey,
I really appreciate it.
I fucking love you, man.
No, I don't know if this chemical is working though. I'm not really.
How about one last toast here?
One? Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay, well,
Right above the
Take a
microphone.
break, come back.
we'll do
Take
it.
a break, come back for the toast.
Everybody drink with us. Brandy's all get the vegan brandy though.
And let's take a break. Forever.
The final break. The final break.